Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about what if Neglected Naruto unlocks a bloodline in waves. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Rylex26 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Wave Country. Red. All he can see was red, his rage clouded his head, and his blood boils. In his arms was Sasuke, dead, as the Uchiha was made into a pincushion out from their opponent's Sinban, an attack that was originally meant for Naruto. Is this the first time you have lost someone? Came the masked nin. Naruto didn't answer. His anger was too strong for him to listen. His eyes blazed into crimson red and his pupils slit. With a swift move, the masked nin was sent skidding to the ground. Naruto had delivered a strong punch into him. His ki pulsed out. Kakashi and Zabuza halted their fight as they felt a disturbing killing intent. This sensation, damn it. It's the Kyuubi. Has the seal weakened? Thought the copy ninja. Glancing back at his opponent, he also noted Zabuza looking at the direction where the killing intent was pulsing out with a hint of concern. I believed I need to finish our fight right now. Zabuza. Kakashi ignored Zabuza's surprisingly emotions as he busied himself in summoning his pack. Thoughts on Naruto. The Hayatan user hid himself behind his mirror, breeze shaking from the killing intent of the blonde ninja. Where is this power coming from? He was snapped out as Naruto slammed a strong fist onto his mirror, making the masked nin exit from the now shattered thing. Without beating a breath, he was again attacked from his stomach, breath leaving out his lungs. Naruto was about to deliver a finishing blow when suddenly the masked nin's mask slowly cracked and fell to the ground, revealing a familiar-looking face. Haku? Said Haku was looking haggard, his mouth dripping out blood and eyes are at him with fear written into his face for a moment before reverting into his deadpan look. Why did you stop? Are you not angry that I have killed your friend? Naruto stole a glance back at Sasuke's still form before reverting his eyes back to the boy. Why are you doing this? Why are you with Zabuza? Why are you doing Gato's dirty work? He demanded. Because Zabuza-san is my precious person. He was the one who saved me, and for that I have made myself a tool for him to use. For a moment a memory flashes through Naruto back at their first encounter. Do you have someone precious to you? Do you have someone willingly wanted to protect? Naruto was disgusted at what came from Haku's mouth, but he can also see the familiar look in his eyes. Loneliness, the same way he had felt back when he was alone in the village until Gigi, the Ichirakus, Iruka-sensei and Team 7 came. Don't talk like that. You are not a tool. You don't have to do what you don't want to. You are a person, shouted Naruto, his killing intent pulsing a little. Perhaps, but this might be my last thing to do. As Zabuza-san's tool. Haku glanced at the direction where Kakashi and Zabuza were at. Naruto, with his eyes still blazing red, could make out a figure of Zabuza immobilized by Kakashi's summoned dogs. Kakashi himself was readying the final blow, a lighting attack, a technique he created right on, Raikiri. This is your end, demon of the mist. Kakashi quickly ran towards Zabuza, starting his assault. He was about to pin his attack on Zabuza when suddenly a mirror-like ice came into his field of vision, and came out Haku. Shit, I can't stop. Kakashi cursed. It felt like slow motion, his momentum not slowing and his thrust-out arm closing into the young boy's chest. Uzumaki Fuin, gravity pull. A shout was heard as the ground beneath the three ninjas glowed into light. A large orange swirling symbol appeared and Kakashi, his ninkins and the two rogue ninjas fell into the floor. Kakashi's Raikiri left his hand, as did Haku's Hayatan mirror broke and Zabuza's mist canceling out. The fog slowly dispersed. Sakura and Tazuna's figures were now visible near the side of the bridge. Sasuke's motionless body was also seen next to Naruto, whose both hands on the ground, chakra ink and unfamiliar writings was on the ground from his open palms towards the three ninjas on the floor. What? Sakura's voice cut as he saw Sasuke's body lying next to Naruto. Gasping out, she immediately ran to them, Tazuna following closed. Kakashi, still on the floor, tried to get up but to no avail. His whole body was heavy. Tis damn Hataki, not only did you have an Uchiha with you, you also have an Uzumaki, grumbled the demon mist. This earned a slight widening eyes of Haku and a loud gasp from Tazuna. Apparently Zabuza was loud enough for him to be heard from the others. An Uzumaki, the real thing, Tazuna said in shock, his gaze moving to Naruto, who was still on the ground. The blonde then stood. He stole a glance at Sasuke, who happened to be now awake. It looks like Haku just placed his Sinban on a pressure point to leave the Uchiha unconscious and was now looking up at him. Brows knitted closer in confusion along with Sakura, who was holding the Uchiha in her arms. Giving them a grim smile, he walks towards where his sensei was. Sorry sensei, you were about to kill Haku, he said to Kakashi as he kneeled down, undoing the technique from his sensei. Mamonate's alright, but I do want to know why you stopped me from doing so. You do know they are our enemy? Looking back at the two rogue ninjas, Naruto offered a comforting smile to Haku before turning to Zabuza. You've felt the chakra that I unleashed earlier, right? Zabuza narrowed his eyes at him but nodded. Then you know I am the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, Haku gasped, but Zabuza nodded again. Kakashi was growing concerned. Naruto was revealing a village secret from outsiders. There are advantages in becoming a Jinchuriki. One is having an ability of a specific biju. As I hold the Kyuubi no Yuno, a being of hatred grants me the ability to sense emotions. So? Zabuza spat out. When I was unconsciously beating Haku into a pulp, I can sense your strong emotion for Haku. Concern. This was the first time Kakashi was hearing this. Before his team was placed under him, the Hokage had him individual review each of the kids' ability and lifestyle. Naruto, who's his most familiar with, since he was one of the ANBU guarding him as a child, believed that he knew all the child's ability. A dead last of the class that makes up with his determination not to lose and his unpredictable ability to win a fight, besides his rivalry fight with Sasuke, that is. But of course Kakashi thinks Naruto is much stronger, even for the rookie of the year in his class, if only he was not handicapped. But if an ability such is true, then this could be a great asset to the village. You're predicting falsely, Uzumaki. You were clouded with rage, and no way you are able to sense emotion. Kakashi would like to think so too, but the look he saw back with how Naruto was realizing a large killing intent was no vision of his. Then, I am wrong to assume that Gado's by the end of the bridge gathering with a large bandit realizing a foul emotion of hate and murder right now. Kakashi and the others then looked at the end of the bridge, and true to what Naruto said, Gado was there along with a handful of bandits. I was right, you couldn't defeat them at all. The midget snarls at Zabuza. What are you doing here? The demon mist demanded, moving his head towards the large crowd. Naruto hadn't yet undone his technique at him, and at Haku. I was planning on killing you after you kill them, saves me the money and paying you. But it seems like you were defeated by a bunch of brats. Oh look, even the ladyboy is still breathing. I'll enjoy watching you being killed after what you did to my arm. Gado clicked his tongue in disgust. It seems that Naruto was right, growling. Zabuza stole a glance at the blonde who was slowly boiling out anger. Uzumaki, you said you can read emotions, right? This snapped Naruto from his rage. Yeah, what am I feeling now? Naruto blinked at the sudden request, but focuses on the demon mist's emotions. Anger for berating Haku. The demon mist barked a loud laugh, making Sakura shivered. It seems like this ability of yours are accurate. Now I can tell that you and your team are fresh out of the academy. Undid this technique of yours and let me save you the trouble in killing these men. Naruto's eyes widened in shock. He can sense that he was telling the truth and didn't hesitate in undoing the technique. Once out, along with Haku. Zabuza turned to Haku. He caressed his cheek. Guess I couldn't hide long from you, huh? He said before grabbing a kunai lying on the ground and stood up to face the bandits. Hataki, I assume you are still capable in wiping them? Or has the great copy ninja rusted out? Kakashi chuckled at the tease, before pushing his student behind him. Don't underestimate the ninja of Konoha. After Zabuza and Kakashi started attacking the bandit, Inari and the citizen of the Wave Country came in to help stand for their village, making the two jounins finish faster, and later found Team 7 and the two rogue ninjas back into Zuna's house. Everyone was gathered in the living room. Sasuke and Haku were being treated by Sakura and Tsunami. Everyone was silent. Questions were running through their heads, especially from Sasuke and Sakura, but finally Sakura spoke. Sensei, is there really an Uzumaki clan? Kakashi sighed. He closes the book that he was reading and focus on Sakura. He knew they'd asked and was just waiting on when. He was about to explain it to Sakura when Zabuza bit him. You don't know about them? And here I thought Konoha has a large clan of Uzumaki living in the village since they are in a great long-time alliance with them. Zabuza was right. Aren't they supposed to know about Yuzushiogakure back in their academy? Is it just Sakura didn't pay attention during the discussion or the teachers didn't include them in the curriculum? Kakashi shook his head. The former would be absorbed since the pinky was a bookworm. The latter is impossible since most of the teachers hated Naruto besides Irika. But the Hokage should knew of this. I mean, Yuzu and Konoha are sister village. Heck, the first and the fourth's wives are from Yuzu. Could there be a possibility that someone was refining the academy curriculum behind the Hokage's back? This was not discussed back in the academy? The silver-haired jounin asked. Sakura shook her head, confirming Kakashi's theory. The Uzumaki clan are a distant relative to the Senju, and one of the three forefathers' clan and forming Konohagakure no Sato. Uzumaki Mido, the first Hokage's wife, was of the clan. They lived in Yuzu no Kuni, the village hidden in whirling tides. Said clan are famous and feared from their unique sealing art, that lead Iwa, Kumo and Kiri banding together and attacking the village during the middle of the Great Third Ninja War. Of course, for such a small village they managed to defeat half of the three great nations gathered shinobi before aid of Konoha came to help. That's how strong they are. The Uzumaki symbol is embroidered at the back of each jounin and shunin's vest, a sign of a long alliance, and as sister villages, Kakashi said, pointing a finger at the swirling red at the back of his vest. This shocked Sasuke. A clan like the Uchiha? Kakashi nodded. The raven looked at Naruto, who was smiling sheepishly in the corner. You know? Sakura asked. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I did grow up at Yuzu before I moved to live in Konoha. He scratches the back of his head. What? Shouted Sakura and Sasuke, although the Uchiha was a little subtle. I thought Uzumaki have red hair. Tsunami asked, while her father nodded in wonderment. And is it true that they have longer lifespan? Yeah, mostly. I'm not really a full-fledged Uzumaki. I got my blonde looks from my father, a shinobi from Konoha. And yes, they do live that long. Really, I don't want to talk about it, Naruto said, seemingly wanting to end the conversation as he moves his attention at the two rogue ninjas. So, what are you guys going to do now? Probably terrorize another place. Find another gold digger for us to have money, was Zabuza's only answer. Wah, seriously? After I save your butts from the midget? Naruto stood on his feet with a clenched fist in front of him. We didn't ask for any help. Besides, I'm pretty sure we could have taken care of them on our own. Why you? Kakashi managed to grab his blonde student's arm, dragging him back down next to his side, before he could jump at the rogue Nin. Naruto, calm down. Calm down. Kaka-sensei, he this time. Kakashi covered his mouth with his hand. Naruto tried to wiggle away from his sensei, but to no avail. He's a jounin, for goodness sake. Tell me, Zabuza, you said you wanted money, what do you need it for? Kakashi asked. Zabuza narrowed his eyes on the Cyclops ninja. And why should I tell you? What do I gain from telling anything? Perhaps a bargain from my student saving you from me? Kakashi said casually. Naruto by now had stopped struggling and was now listening to their conversation. Zabuza-san, we should tell them. Haku's voice was heard from the corner where Tsunami was still treating his wound. Are you crazy? They are foreign ninja, and yet Naruto saved me from Kakashi-san's hands, and he is a ninja of another village. You said for yourself that his sensing ability are accurate, and for that I will believe him that you have concern for my well-being. Thus for my sake please, if not for Konoha then for me. Zabuza was silent, cursing mentally at the blonde for having such ability, and here he thought he'd die burying his human feelings with him. But then again he'd do anything for Haku, second for his own village. Sighing to himself, he gave Haku a stern but defeated look which didn't go unnoticed by the copy ninja. So much for a demon. I'm raising money for another rebellion attack back in Kiri. What? What happened in Kirigakure? This time Sakura asked, finally digesting the information that her sensei had given them about Yuzu. Currently Kiri is under civil war. Most of its shinobi have been rebelling against their Kage. Kakashi answered her. Isn't that conceit or treason? Sasuke asked in his usual brooding tone. It is most likely, but what would you do if your own Kage sent out an order to kill all clan with bloodline limit? Zabuza said. Sasuke's eyes widened before they went back to normal. Dark memory flashes his eyes, memory of his traitor of a brother. Hokage would never do such a thing. Naruto, whose mouth was finally free, berated. It was only an assumption, you brat. The bloody Mizukage of the mist, Yandame Yugura. Kakashi said. I've heard of the crisis. Before Gato we shelter some few refugees from Kiri. I never knew it's still going? Tazuna said. It does, that's why I need money. I want to end his reign sooner than later. I want a better home for Haku rather than always on the run. He gave Haku a side glance, before having interest with the floor. Then you don't have to worry, the townspeople just recently scavenged Gato's lair and found mountains of gold. I'm pretty sure majority of them would like to give you some, seeing as most of them saw you fighting off those bandits. Tazuna informed, swinging a battle of sake. Tsunami besides him now giving him a sincere smile. Zabuza couldn't say anything, he was beyond words. How could they just say such things when he had tried killing the old man before? As if reading his own thoughts, Tazuna gave him a smirk. You wanted a better home for Haku, right? Then accept the offer. Zabuza didn't waste any more, he bowed his head on the floor, tears flowing down from his eyes. Thank you very much. Naruto could only smile at the sight. Chapter 2, Returning to Konoha. Inu Sunshin, when he felt his leader tug on his signal, his wolf mask ever so present when he arrived at the foot of his leaders. Hokage-sama. The young ANBU bowed, knee on the floor, his gravity-defying silver hair identifying that it was Hatake Kakashi, the sole survivor of Team Minato. A grim look crossed the leader's face for a moment. Dark memories flashes him. Hiruzen, the old third Hokage. It had been 7 years since the senior reinstated as Hokage after his successor's heroic death, an event that forever plunged the citizen's mind. October 10th, the attack of the Kyuubi no Yuko. A surprise attack that not even the three Sannin expected to happen. Hundreds of people, both shinobi and civilians, dead that night. A nightmare that seemed to not erase from their heads, and more importantly a grief of heroic deed that sent their precious fourth Hokage's life towards the Shinigami. His life in exchange for hundreds. The night was actually the night where everything in Kakashi's life seems to shatter. The only remaining anchor of his life, gone. They left him, all of them. His father, Obito, Rin, and now Minato-sensei and Kushina-san, everyone important to him, gone. At ease, Wolf Kakashi complied by standing. The Hokage seemed to be giving him a petty look, a usual offer when the silver-haired was with the Hokage alone. I have a mission for you. It's a blank rank mission, meaning it might be an ongoing mission with no specific end. Kakashi raised a brow behind his mask. He was an ANBU for too far long now, and after the death of his sensei he had been taking S-rank missions non-stop. It would only be so right for the Hokage to assign him in long terms 1. It's also considered as guarding, but the person you'll be watching is an S-rank 1. Okay, guarding, no assassinating like most S-rank. But if this person is considered S-rank, then why is he being guarded? A foreigner visiting the village perhaps, but it's a long-term one. The Hokage seemed to sense the ANBU's wonderment, and decided to help the young man from overthinking further. I want you to guard Konoha's Kyuubi Jinchuriki, he said while he puffed smoke from his pipe. It had been a long time since Kakashi heard the Kyuubi's name. Dark memories flashes his eyes before focusing more on the subject. Jinchuriki, sir? I didn't know Konoha has one? More importantly, the Kyuubis. Kakashi knew of the word. A human sacrifice. Every Jounin and ANBU were told of them. A human jailing one of the 9 Biju. Each of them considered as an S-rank ninja. Kakashi remembered some stories of his sensei when he had an unexpected encounter with the Jinchuriki of the Hachibi back when the Yellow Flash was a mere candidate for Hokage. Not much known of them since they are known as the village's greatest weapon and are mostly keep their identity hidden. But it seems like Kumo are trying to display power since rumor has it that the village has now 2 Jinchuriki. But if Konoha has one and if it's the Kyuubi, then that means 7 years ago Minato-sensei created Konoha's first Jinchuriki. Kakashi's visible eyes widen. Not only did his sensei died as a hero, he also created a weapon of distraction. Hiruzen seemed to recognize the young ANBU's spike of emotion and seemed to read what he was thinking. The life of a Jinchuriki are considered to be cruel. They might be the village's greatest weapon, but they are also human, capable of emotions. He poof another smoke. Most Jinchuriki are treated as a monster from citizens who don't understand the difference between a kunai and a scroll. These of course lead them into insanity, allowing the monsters they are jailing to corrupt their minds and losing control of them. Kakashi nodded, understanding his mistake. A human is still a human. To answer your question earlier, yes? Konoha has a Jinchuriki and had always had. In fact, it was Konoha that had first created one before others imitated the ritual. The old Hokage lock eyes with him. Kakashi was beyond shock. Then that means the cube has always been in Konoha. It wasn't an attack. It was an incident for sure, but why? How? Why was he knowing this now? Why is the Hokage telling him now? Do others know? More importantly, if it was sealed by a Jinchuriki, then it must have been driven to madness. But that's impossible. When it comes to seals, Konoha are second best amongst the great elemental nations since they were the sister village of Uzushio, a village of seal masters. It would be impossible for one to unleash the monster. Then how? There are natures in which a strong seal is being weakened, whether it was from the Uzumaki seal or others. When a female Jinchuriki give birth, the seal's strength are transported into the baby, thus weakening the seal and allowing their bijus to give an opportunity to escape. Then it hit Kakashi like lightning. Sensei, when is Kushina-san due again? Oh, it's on October next month. Oh god, it's next month. I'm going to finally meet Naruto next month. He remembered now. He remembers how Minato-sensei was so busy when October came. He also remembered how he was told to look after Kushina when he was gone somewhere to prepare his son's birth. Kushina-san was the only thing that Kakashi can utter. The third Hokage merely nodded. He then looked at the Hokage monument from his office window. The Uzumaki clan have large chakra reserved even for a child. Mito-sama, Hashirama-sama's wife, was the first to become the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Her reserve was beyond large that it rivals Hashirama-sama's. With her sealing technique, she sealed the fox within herself when Uchiha Madara summons the Kyuubi during the great battle of the 2 founders of the village. When her time was coming to an end, Uzumaki Kushina was brought to Konoha from Yuzu. Kushina was already born with a unique chakra that surpassed the strongest biju, thus she was chosen as the next Jinchuriki. Then why? Minato-sensei was a seal master. Kushina-san personally trained him and he was prepared. Why did the seal broke? Kakashi demanded. He was losing it and was barely keeping up. The Hokage sighed, removing the ashes from his pipe. We've investigated the place where Kushina given birth to. We found out that the ANBUs assigned to guard were killed by someone, along with my wife and the assigned nurse. We've concluded that someone knew of Kushina's status as a Jinchuriki and knew of one of the nature of a Jinchuriki and timed their assault. It is safe to say that they are after the biju and not by personal issues. Minato-sensei was a well-known ninja. He had been noted by the bingo book as a flea on sight. It was too much for Kakashi, but he was trying to swallow it all. His remaining family died, killed by a cause of some unknown enemy. Gathering his strength, Kakashi swallowed a lump of distress. He couldn't be feeling down now when he knew that the cause of it all is still alive and thriving. Does that mean that the current Jinchuriki might be in danger? Hiruzen nodded, pride glowing inside him. He knew that Kakashi was a bright child, but his strength, after knowing what was kept secret and still acted professional, was heartwarming for the old-age Hokage. He is another Uzumaki, a 7-year-old energetic boy. He had lived off his life in Uzushio and recently arrived in Konoha. As much as the Uzukage and I disagree on him leaving Yuzu, politics most come first. As Konoha always had the Kyuubi, it is only right for him to be here in Konoha. Kakashi just nodded. Kakashi figures that it was the councils who'd fight of custody, and since Mito-sama and Kushina-san lived in Konoha, Yuzu had no rights to argue with it. Do you have full details about him? Kakashi asked, though the Hokage pulled out a folder from the drawer of his table and passed it to Kakashi. The silver-haired ANBU took the folder and looked at the content. His name's Uzumaki Naruto. You do know why I want you as his guard, don't you? Kakashi could only stare at the smiling blonde picture of the boy. It was nearing sunset when Team 7 made camp for the night. They had just left the country of waves early afternoon. Thought it would have taken them at least the whole 5 hours by trees to return back to Konoha. But since Sasuke was still recovering from his injuries, Kakashi insists they take their time. Said copy ninja was currently seating near the base of a large tree that they decided to take camp in, hands with his favorite novel. His students were silent. I guess they're still cooping up on what had happened. It was an eventful mission, so to say. Kakashi was even shocked about himself as well. I guess I really should start my training up if I was easily been defeated by another A-rank ninja. Back in ANBU he was considered an S-rank. Well, it started after the death of his remaining family, his sensei. He had finally broken down that it turned him into a killing machine, taking S-ranked mission after missions to distract himself from the cruel reality, and it only took the help of his peers to snap out that his sensei wouldn't want these, that Obito wouldn't want to see him down. Kakashi was about to sink down into his past when suddenly he heard the young Uchiha's arrogant voice. "I don't understand," he said, eyes narrowed on Naruto, who was munching on his pack instant ramen beside the campfire. "If the Uzumaki clan are that well known, how come I haven't heard anything about the clan?" "And I'm an Uchiha," Sasuke demanded, cursing under his breath. "Ah, he's still stuck what had happened a few weeks ago, typical Uchiha." "Sasuke-kun's right, where is this Yuzuno Kuni anyway? And more importantly, if you Naruto are part of this feared clan, why are you a dead last in the class? Does that mean the Uchiha are far more superior?" This time Sakura berated Naruto. Kakashi forgot that Sakura didn't pretty much saw what happened in Naruto's fight with Haku, and Kakashi even led to believe that his kunoichi didn't understand that Naruto was the one who pulled out the jutsu that quickly subdued 2A rank ninja and a quickly to assume B rank young boy. Everything is all about the Uchiha and Rookie of the Years. Kunoichi these days. All they bother are their looks and their fairy tale dream of marrying one day a strong and handsome shinobi. Kakashi could still remember the kunoichi back in his teens. Those women are ruthless, pretty as they may, but they are one of their assets in seducing men. But of course back then was a shinobi war, darker days compared to his present. But then again, if you take the career of a ninja, you must learn to survive long, and Kakashi doesn't want ninja, especially his first students, to be weak. Kakashi made a mental note to have a long talk with his kunoichi. Better yet, he needed to have all of his cute little genin a long talk. He hadn't really been a good teacher for the three. True, the brats had made this far on their own, especially Naruto, who had started to shine starting the day that he had graduated from the academy, and Sasuke, his ambition to kill his brother, had already excelled in the art of basic shinobi. They are still under his care, and Kakashi had endangered them, knowing too well that he was the leader of the team, and should be the one to decide when they had a choice to retreat, but then again he let them decide. A green genin team who lacked teamwork had just experienced a far too dangerous mission. He needed to take their training more seriously. Now that Sasuke has awake his Sharingan, Kakashi is pretty much sure that the two civil council men would want Kakashi to focus more on said Uchiha, although he'd rather not be seen having favorites. Minato-sensei would stir from his grave, and when a written report be passed to the Hokage, which sometimes were passed to the council, especially when the village's Jinchuriki is involved, Danzo would demand to take Naruto under his wings, which Kakashi will have to declare a civil war if that does happen. "No, Sakura, as I have told you. The Uzumaki clan are strong, stronger than the Uchiha peers say," Kakashi said, earning a glare from his raven-haired students. Ignoring the look, Kakashi pulled out a map from the pockets of his vest. Unfolding the map, he placed it near the fire camp and gestured for her to come closer. "Yuzuno Kuni is northeast from the land of fire and north from the land of waves." Kakashi pointed a finger where the land of whirlpool was. "It's a small archipelago. Isn't it closer from wave? Why didn't you take a short visit?" "I mean, it is the place where you came from," Sakura asked Naruto, who had stopped devouring his 8th cup ramen, eyes cast down for a moment before giving the young kunoichi a large grin. "It didn't cross my mind." Naruto scratched the back of his head. "Idiot. That's your home. You were abandoned, weren't you?" It was Sasuke that asked, this time his tone of voice hinting petty. Kakashi raised a brow at this. Ever since Naruto had moved to Konoha, Kakashi hadn't heard any family members visiting him. Heck, he haven't heard anything from Yuzu since the young boy's arrival. Could it be that they sail out the boy? But the third said that the Uzukage was against Naruto moving to Konoha. "What makes you think that I was abandoned?" Naruto asked, tilting his head dumbfolded. Nope, Kakashi thought. If the boy's acting like an idiot, he was not abandoned, or better yet, he's too dumb to understand that he was. Kakashi mentally facepalmed. It could be, the boy barely graduated, but then again he was handicapped. So no, he was not abandoned. You said you moved in Konoha, and as far as I know you, no, as far as our class here knows you, we all had assumed you were an orphan, until this revelation. So it's either you ran away from Yuzu and came to Konoha, or the Uzumaki placed you in Konoha and abandoned you. Sipping the soup of his ramen, Naruto thought, Not really, I don't really want to talk about it, especially when I'm told not to. But if you really wanted to know, I moved to Konoha on my own free will, he said, ending the conversation. The Uchiha frowned. As much as Sasuke doesn't want to prey on Naruto's personal life, but he can't help not to. Back in the academy, Naruto keeps challenging him. Even though Sasuke was superior in all aspects, Naruto does not stop. He had a will to never give up. A treat that Sasuke envied, though he kept it to himself. He wondered to himself how a person like Naruto continues to be cherry and hyperactive after all the hated look he had lived through. Yes, Sasuke noticed them. He doesn't know why though. True, the blonde was a troublemaker. He was a prankster, and to his credit was good in stilt. He painted the Hokage monument in broad daylight. And in his orange jumpsuit, and it took him painting the fourth's head before he was found, and good God, the blonde is even good in hiding. And he was blonde, and not just blonde like Ino's or some Yamanaka's. Naruto had yellow hair. Okay, yes, the blonde was bad, but 1 or 2 grudges are enough. But Sasuke noticed the glare the whole 4 years of how he knew Naruto. And it seems like Naruto was used to it. He just ignored them like they weren't there and carry on making a fool of himself. But one thing that Sasuke knew, or in his perspective confirmed his wonderment before, is that Naruto's strong. Yes, even he, Sasuke Uchiha, agrees. The blonde was holding back at him during their spars. No. It looks more that Naruto's got more than just basic taijutsu and ninjutsu, but he keeps it at bay. A mystery that adds up on the Raven's list of his blonde teammate, adding more in his new knowledge of the blonde having a clan and a famous one. Sakura was about to berate the blonde for not giving her Sasuke-kun a real answer but was stopped by Kakashi's interruption. That's enough talking. It's getting late, and we need to head out early morning to reach Konoha, and we still have to report to the Hokage the Miss Rank mission. I'll take the first watch with that, the three genin comply. Sasuke stepped in the dining room, his body still recovering from his injuries. Team 7 had arrived from their C-turned-a-ranked mission last week and had been given by their Hokage a week's worth of rest. Glancing around, Sasuke noticed his mother, preoccupied in setting the table. Sasuke for a moment savored his mother's appearance. She was wearing a dark blue dress that reaches just below her knees, a dirty white apron wrapped around her. Her once long raven hair had been cut just above her shoulder, her bangs held up with a clip to the sides. Her facial features reminded Sasuke that he had inherited it from her. A ghostly smile graced upon his lips. Glancing up, Mikoto noticed her son's presence. "Oh, you're up. Come have breakfast," she said, gesturing for him to seat across from her. It had been 4 years since the incident, 4 years since the Uchiha massacred. An incident that left 3 living clansmen as survivors: Sasuke, his mother Mikoto, and his older brother Itachi, the man that caused said incident. Sasuke was just in his first year in the academy when his teachers had let them leave in the evening, an unusual occurrence, since class mostly ended exactly at 4 o'clock. Sasuke had dashed from the academy to the compound fearing that his father would scold him. When he had arrived, he had found the compound eerily silent. His stomach jumped in worry as he walked inside his house to find his father laying down on his own pool of blood, his brother standing on top of the body, his katana drenched in blood. At first Sasuke questioned his brother if they were attacked, but felt his stomach drop as his brother confessed, he killed them. Sasuke was petrified and tried to reason out to his brother of such nonsense when Itachi laid eyes on him, his activated Sharingan forming into a new form. He, his beloved brother, Uchiha Itachi, wanted to measure himself and his Sharingan by killing their clan, and then Sasuke was hit with a genjutsu by his brother, as he witnessed the killing his brother did repeatedly for 2 days before he was broken free by his mother, who was out in the village when the incident occurred and escaping the Shinigami's hands. Ever since that day, Sasuke had sworn vengeance. He wanted to grow stronger as fast as he can so he can eliminate his brother who had gone rogue. He swore in his entire life, for his family, for his clan. Nodding his head to answer his mother, Sasuke sat on the table and dig in. "How's your body?" His mother started. "Fine, I've rested well enough to resume training." That's good, but please do be careful next time." "I can't help but worry," Mikoto sighed, concerned. Sighing to himself, ever since the massacre, his mother had been a worrywart. Granted, it isn't always that your whole clan be killed in one night and be left with just one family member, but in their chosen kara there are people who are bound to die. Entering the life of a shinobi means offering your life to death, and only those who are strong can escape death. And Sasuke, an Uchiha, graduate as top rookie of the year and a self-proclaimed avenger, refused to give his life to death, not until he kill him. "Mother, I'm a shinobi now, and as such there are dangers in every corner." Of course Mikoto know these, she herself have been in the field before. Although back then war was still in session, which happened to be more dangerous than her son's generation. But she can't help but worry, especially when, shaking away her thoughts, Mikoto snapped out into reality when her son stood up. "You're going somewhere?" "Yeah, team meeting." Sasuke thanked his mother for the food and walked towards their front door, where his mother followed him. Grabbing his sandals on the shoe rack, he put it on before turning to his mother. "I'm off." Giving Sasuke a kiss, Mikoto caressed her son's cheek for a moment before sending him off. "Take care." It didn't take long for Sasuke to arrive at their venue, Team 7's usual place, Training Ground 7, the place where their team had all began. Walking towards the kunai training posts, Sasuke noticed that 2 of his teammates are already there, and surprisingly, Kakashi was there. "Sasuke-kun." Sakura waved out to him, as usual, and as usual he didn't mind her. Who would? When your unpunctual teacher happened to be punctual? I know, right? He was already here when Sakura-chan and I arrived. Give me a heart attack. Wonder if the moon's falling next. Naruto exaggerated once he noticed Sasuke's bewilderment. "Come on, is it really that surprising?" A pain expression on Kakashi's only visible face with a dramatic hand on his heart, as if indicating he was hurt there. "Yes," came the unison voices of his cute little genin. Even Sasuke's voice was loud. Kakashi's sweat dropped. He really needed to up not just their training but also their time together. Clearing Kakashi's voice, the 3 genin noticed the sudden seriousness of the atmosphere and straightened up. "What happened to our last mission was a worst for all. A fault clearly to be blamed on me." This confused the genin. Surely it wasn't all their sensei's fault. I mean, both Naruto and Sasuke begged Kakashi to continue the mission even if it was clearly going down too dangerously, and Sakura, who should have voiced out a rational reason, had clearly abandoned the thought just to satisfy Sasuke, and clearly she was outnumbered by the 2 boys on her team. But then again, if they hadn't continued the mission, Tazuna would have been killed and Inari would have been still a cowering crybaby. Granted, Naruto got in trouble with what he had done, he could still remember what the Hokage had told him upon reporting their mission. "You do realize you had not just saved Tazuna and his family, but also had saved a whole country, the Hokage said. Pride was swirling in his chest. Not every day you find fresh genin making a landmark as big as saving a goddamn country. Granted, Hiruzen was disappointed at Kakashi for endangering them by making the genin decide on what to do, but then again Konoha shinobi don't abandon people who needed help. Smiling, the old-aged Hokage couldn't help but be overwhelmed with pride. The genin of Team 7's will of fire lighted earlier than expected. Now then, I will make sure that a standard payment for A rank would be given. Come by the mission assignment office tomorrow, and you'll receive it there. As for the rest of the week, I'll be giving you a break, especially you Sasuke. The Hokage gestured to the still recovering Raven. Nodding, Hiruzen dismissed the team. Naruto-kun, stay if you please. And Kakashi? I'll be expecting a written report at my table by tomorrow. Nodding both teacher and student's head, Kakashi informed the genin for a team meeting by the usual place after their week's break before dismissing them. Now alone with the Hokage, Naruto started to fidget, knowing too well what the Hokage what this is all about. With a quick hand signs, Hiruzen had performed a silencing seal, preventing others from hearing what their conversation is going to be. Kakashi had sent out a brief report before your arrival, the Hokage started. Naruto frowned. He hadn't even noticed when their sensei sent out a report, but then again, Kakashi was once his babysitter back when the silver-haired was still in ANBU. Not that the Scarecrow knew, of course. And as Konoha's Jinchuriki, he knew his still being watched. Sorry Gigi, I knew you don't want me going around doing seals, but I don't have any other choice. And Kaka-sensei was about to kill Haku, he said, head lowered. Hiruzen sigh, I will see past through this, but next time do be careful, they are eyes and ears everywhere. Naruto's head bobbed. As for the other thing I want to talk about, Kakashi's report also stated that you've access to Kurama. I was so outraged. Kurama was withdrawing his chakra as best as he can back then. He even scolded me for losing my cool. Stupid oversized fox. Crossing his arms, Naruto pouted childishly. Hiruzen chuckled. Then please do tell Kurama that I said thank you. You do know your status as a Jinchuriki are still not known to your peers. Naruto's shoulder sunk. Bah. I know already. Sheesh, the big fur ball's scolding is enough, you know, pouted the young teen. Hiruzen chuckled again, before giving the boy a sincere look. Naruto was lucky that Gigi let him out easily, and Kakashi-sensei had reported that no spies from Mummy-san were seen, or else Naruto would be in big trouble. As team captain, I should have been the one who decides and not his members, and as team captain I should have prepared you in unexpected things like our last mission. Well, at least he knew he was lazing around, Naruto thought. Ever since he had graduated from the academy, he'd expected to have learned more beyond the ones he had learned back in the academy, which in the way he still doesn't understand. You can't blame him when he'd be suddenly introduced with a new set of curriculum. He was 7 when he moved in Konoha, and he wasn't the brightest of the fishes in the ocean. Even back at Yuzu, and besides, teachers hated him, except Irika-sensei, that is. So he dramatically paused. I've decided to up your training. This also makes up for the wasted time. Kakashi pulled a piece of paper from his kunai holster and gave it to them. Sasuke and Naruto peered down on Sakura as she was the one who had received the paper. It was a training regime schedule. Reading thoroughly what was written, Sasuke hummed in satisfaction. In the early morning of 6, first on the schedule was a 2-hour of physical endurance, followed by basic taijutsu sparring for another hour, then weaponry mastery for an hour, individual practices, and then a 15 minutes break before lunch. In the afternoon, the team would take missions, and afterwards, if there was still time, they'd have a final physical endurance. It didn't actually took long for Kakashi to create their training regime. Back in the days before he was released from ANBU, he was a captain of a platoon, and as such it was his responsibility to uphold his members straight. Thus, he made it sure to train them. Although Kakashi had to hold a little bit of brutality in it since his genin team are, or genin. All in all, Kakashi knew that his team could handle the regime he made, especially the boys. For sure the two would make a rivalry out of it. Now for his kunoichi. Don't these build up muscles? And more importantly, isn't the physical endurance too much? Alright, on cue. Sakura's right. He pretty much focused more on increasing their chakra reserved, hence, the physical endurance. Although in Naruto's case, Kakashi had to take note to give the blonde a scroll about different chakra control. The kid was naturally born with a huge chakra thanks to his Uzumaki blood and added the tenet in his gut. He's sure to struggle to use jutsu that requires small amount of chakra. This proves the result of Naruto's ninjutsu exam during graduation exam. Yes, Sakura, it does build up muscles, but it also increases your chakra reserved, especially for you, since you're the one with the smallest. The pink blushed, suddenly self-conscious upon being told the weakest out the 3 in front of her Sasuke-kun. Although thinking about it, their last mission does justify her sensei. She had been the one always on the background while both Sasuke-kun and Naruto were constantly protecting her, and even Naruto was showing some skills, and this is Naruto we're talking about, the dead last. Like Sasuke, Sakura knew that Naruto's hiding something, and she knew he was strong. It was proven when the blonde had immediately subdued both Kakashi-sensei and Zabuza. Ever since they've made it back to Konoha, Sakura had made her entire week break scheming the library about the Uzumaki clan. There, she found out about their history. She found out that the clan had been around even before the clans of Uchiha and Senju, their relationships with Konoha, their mastery of Fuinjutsu that earned fair in their name, and how most of their sealing techniques were used in Konoha. This opened up eyes to Sakura. She realized then that she was not just teamed up with an Uchiha but also with an Uzumaki, and Sakura doubted Naruto's living up his clan's name. With what happened back at Wave, she knew the blonde is also versed with Fuinjutsu. Although Sasuke-kun is still the strongest Chie, she was not sure if her inner self was right. But if he was, then why was he not presenting them enthusiastically like his brash character? Does this have to do with how the village treated him? Yes, Sakura knew. She knew how the village whispered on his back. Her parents themselves had told her not to interact with him when she was young. Snapping her thoughts out of it, Sakura mentally slapped her cheeks in attention. She can't hold them down. Yes, they were strong and are from infamous clans. Although she had to wonder why the Uzumaki aren't that much spoken, she also need to up herself, even if she was from a no-name clan. She is part of Team 7 and Team 7 values teammates. Kakashi saw the fire in Sakura's eyes. Looks like I don't have to do anything. Both Naruto and Sasuke smirked upon seeing Sakura's determination. Well then, since everyone seemed to have no problem with the plans, we will all start tomorrow. And with that, Kakashi dismissed his team before bursting into smokes. Chapter 3, Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha no Sato. Naruto shuffled his way into his apartment, his jacket discarded on the floor, and headed straight to his small yet comfortable bed. His body sore and drained from the 2 weeks of non-stop training and missions, Naruto let out a frustrating groan as he remembered the last 2 weeks. Kakashi had strictly followed the schedule and hardly given the genin a breather in between the hours of training, and then when afternoon comes, Kakashi deemed it sure to take D-Rank's missions for now, although he highly chose those ones that needed physical activity, like weeding the large backyard of a farmer, bathing the Inuzuka dogs, cleaning the Hokage monument, and so on. And afterwards Kakashi had decided to regulate the end of the day physical endurance whether they'd finished doing missions early or not. A devil, that sensei of his. Sometimes Naruto wonders if their sensei was torturing them, but then again, during the sparring and physical endurance he'd also joined as well, although he adds more than their regime. Naruto knew that the copy ninja also was aware that he had performed badly during their mission back in Wave. I mean, who thought that the great Sharingan Kakashi or the copycat Kakashi would easily be defeated by an A-rank rogue ninja and had to be saved by his own genin? Sure, that was an embarrassment. Groaning once more, Naruto suddenly flinched. Stop your yapping. It's for your own good, you stupid pea-brain. Finally, the fox just had enough. Naruto did wonder when will the fur ball snapped. Who wouldn't be? I'm trying to sleep here and you complaining annoy the fucking hell out of me. It's your fault for being a weak and a pathetic host. Naruto suddenly finds himself in his mindscape. He was standing on a foot-deep water, and in front of him was a huge cage with the kanji seal placed on it. Hey! Who you calling weak? If Gigi would just allow me to use any fuin, that's just it. The old man won't allow you. Naruto sighed. It was true. Naruto was raised in a typical traditional Uzumaki clan like the rest of his cousins and clansmen. Like his clan, he was versed in Fuinjutsu, be it from simple sealing to complex. He was already introduced in the art even before he was allowed to attend the academy back in Yuzu. As such, it had also become his way of combat. It just happened that he needed to adjust to a different usage of combat half a year after he had moved in Konoha. Naruto was spread on the floor, legs under his weight, his upper body leaning on the large open book he found interest in. Around him were the many scattered books and scrolls, some were opened and unrolled. 6 months. It had been 6 months since Naruto had moved to Konoha, 6 months since he had started to learn the many cultures and livelihood of the village. It was a new experience for the young Uzumaki. Since he was able to have the presence of mind, the people he'd been around with were his clansmen and his friends who belonged to other clans forming Yuzushiyobikure. There, he only knew a few ninjutsu where the Uzumaki are famous of, and kenjutsu and taijutsu. Although there are some minimal ninjutsu like the Kage Bunshin, a clone kenjutsu suitable for the Uzumaki since it requires a large amount of chakra. Imagine the young blonde's surprise of the many difference of Konoha and Yuzu. The moment he'd stepped foot in the village, the very first he had noticed was the white-eyed man who assured him, along with his companion, which was his pervert of a godfather, to the Hokage Tower. He had heard stories from the elders back in Yuzu about Konoha. He knew that they shelter many clans with unique bloodline limits, and 2 of those are the prized and strongest ninjutsu already famous since the time of the 6th path, the Sharingan and the Byakugan. He had studied a little bit about them before he had moved. Although, the typical knucklehead he is, he pretty much zoned out the major parts of it. The basic he knows of them were that both eyes are capable on seeing chakra and where the Byakugan had X-ray visions and can see long distant places. The Sharingan on the other hand can copy the jutsu from others in a single look, whether the enemy performed it fast or not, and can cast the genjutsu with it. Naruto shivered at the mention of genjutsu. Unlike most of his clansmen, Naruto have 0 defenses against genjutsu. It's probably because he was already born with a huge amount of chakra larger than the typical Uzumaki had. Then again, it also added to the fact that he also housed the strongest Biju, the Kyubi. Sighing, Naruto shook his head and carried on reading the book in front of him. It was one of the modern art of sealing created by his predecessor, Uzumaki Mido. Naruto hates studying. He was only forced to study since he was going to live in a foreign country. He hated so much like he hate menmasan ramen. But there was only one subject that constantly brought him to the libraries of Yuzu, and it was studying Fuinjutsu. True, it is of importance for an Uzumaki to learn Fuinjutsu, but in his case he had gone beyond. Naruto wanted to learn the many difference of it, be it ancient or modern ones. It's as if Fuinjutsu was a magnet to him. Naruto snapped out of his musing when he suddenly felt another presence with him. He turned his head to the side where he found an old-aged man. He was wearing a black kimono with white on the edges. His head and right arm were covered with bandages and he was also carrying a cane. Naruto tilted his head. He recognized the man as one of the Hokage's counselor, Shimura Danzo. Naruto loved the Hokage, Gigi, as what he had started to call the old-age leader, Naruto's never one with tittles, had welcomed him with open arms. Heck, he even let the boy live with him in the many guests room of the Hokage manor, until he was to enter the academy. Naruto started to look up on him like a grandfather. The Hokage sometimes was the one to tutor him on Konoha's history if he has time for Naruto, or when Naruto's godfather was not around, he's called a professor for nothing. Naruto had spent a lot of time with the Hokage that he'd recognize the people that comes in and out of the Hokage tower, where Naruto usually stayed in. The frequent ones are the two counselors, Koharu and Himura, two of Hiruzen's longtime teammates. Although unlike the Hokage, Naruto didn't much interact with them, since, in his opinion, they're too grumpy and seem to have a stick up on their asses, which Naruto earned a scolding look from the Hokage. But he tolerated them, unlike the third member of the council, Danzo, or better yet Mummy-san, as what Naruto had started calling him. He's too mysterious and the fox in his gut keep telling him to be wary around the man. Although Naruto could sense a good intention of the man, but there's this nagging feeling to listen to the demon in his belly, much to Naruto's demise. Especially when Naruto keeps feeling the lingering eyes in the shadows since his arrival in the village and Danzo's constant appearance when the blonde was left on his own, much like right now. If Naruto had to count, it probably was the third time this month. Naruto mentally shivered. He felt like he was stalked by some pedophile. Naruto-kun. Naruto slowly nodded his head in acknowledgement, discreetly scanning for his ANBU sitter. Damn, he's not here. The two didn't spoke words afterwards, but linger in each other's thought, Naruto desperately praying for a savior or something. Don't get him wrong, Naruto can protect himself. He was made sure that he can before he was allowed out of his birth country. But against an old geezer who happened to be a veteran shinobi and once teammate of the Hokage, no. If there is one thing he had learned from class back in Yuzu aside from Fuinjutsu, is that not to underestimate any Kages whether they are young or old, especially those who are considered as an equal level of strength with them. On the other hand, Danzo was staring right on the young Uzumaki's, as if trying to dissect him through the old man's eyes. Naruto noticed the shift of the old warhawk's eyes towards Naruto's scattered materials until it stops on the object in his hands. You are fond of Fuinjutsu? Naruto didn't answer, but turned to the book in his hand. It isn't much a surprise as you are an Uzumaki. Tell me. He locked eyes with Naruto, though Naruto had to resist gulping from antsy. How far are you in Fuinjutsu? Seeing as you are tackling modern art of Fuinjutsu, perhaps you are widening your knowledge on the art. I as well am adept to Fuinjutsu such as the modern ones. I can teach you practically, if that is you are willing to come with me? There it is, the come with me I have free candy offer. Every time the man approached him, it's always one of those offers, like for example, let him learn taijutsu or ninjutsu faster and make him stronger as long he come with him. Seriously, Naruto might be 7, he knows not to trust strangers, even if said strangers is a fellow shinobi, not when they're oozing out mysterious aura. Naruto now believed that Danzo's one of those pedophiles. You will be a great asset to the village. Aside from that, your status as Jinchuriki added the fact of your strength. I can offer you power. Naruto was cut short when a figure suddenly sunshine in front of him. It was his ANBU sitter Wolf. He mentally thanks the heavens for his arrival. ANBU Mummy-san greeted the Nin, who in which greeted with a slight nod. Turning to his charge, he crouched down to his level. Naruto-kun, Hokage-sama asked for your presence. Naruto just nodded, quickly cleaning up his mess before grabbing hold of his sitter's gloved hand. He was clearly convincing not to waste any more time with Mummy-san. His actions spoke louder. Wolf turned his head back to the councilman. Excuse us, he said before nudging Naruto to do the same. Reluctantly the boy did the same, as much as he doesn't want to. The Hokage had been teaching the boy respects, and the man before them was of high rank in the village system. With Danzo's slight nod, the ANBU and Naruto-san shin away. The two later found themselves in front of the Hokage's office, where said Hokage was currently scribbling on papers after papers. Gigi. Naruto's cry jerked the aged Hokage's head upward to the young blonde, his smoke pipe hanging casually in his mouth like the many times Naruto had seen the old man. Hiruzen offered a smile when the blonde jumped his way into his arms. Ah, my child, it seemed that you have locked yourself in my library again, he said when he pulled away from the embrace. Naruto hummed, answering the question he was about to ask the Hokage about needing his presence. Ne Gigi? Do you usually allow people in your library? Inquired the blonde. This rose a brow from the Hokage. Shaking his head, no, not really. I have many scrolls of jutsu stored there, and most of them are B to S rank. Unless you didn't listen to what I have told you. Naruto immediately shook his head. Hiruzen chuckled. Before he had allowed the boy access to the library, he had it nailed to Naruto's head to never cross the jutsu section. Although Hiruzen might have sealed them with barriers, one should never be too cautious, especially around an Uzumaki. It just that. Mummy-san was there, Naruto said. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. Mummy-san was Danzo's moniker by Naruto. Hiruzen was aware of his old teammate's eyes on Naruto ever since his arrival in the village. He knew that the War Hawk wanted Naruto to himself, reasoning to make the boy strong, whereas in reality he wanted Naruto to turn into a mindless shinobi, as he was the village's greatest weapon, the Jinchuriki. The Hokage also was aware of the supposed disbanded route still functioning, turning his attention to the blonde's guard for confirmation, to which the ANBU nodded. He had once again approached with the same intention but for another reason, again. The silver-haired ANBU explained. Naruto pointed a finger at the ANBU. Hey. You weren't there when Mummy-san asked me and I'm a censor. Wolf gave him a thumb up. ANBU was the only thing Wolf said, earning a pout from the blonde. Hiruzen chuckled at the exchange. He was right to have decided let Kakashi be Naruto's guard. In 6 months of the Silver's assignment the two had bonded. Although Kakashi has not revealed his real self to the blonde yet, Naruto had grown attached to him. It's as if they were brothers separated far too long. Shaking the distraction, Hiruzen allowed the two bicker for a moment before he flared a small amount of Ki, gaining the attention of the ANBU in front of him, and a slight flinch from the boy in his arms, although he easily eased. Hiruzen let the blonde down, who immediately moved to stand next to the ANBU. The aged Hokage rubbed a growing ache in his head as he let out a frustrating sigh. This is taking way too far. Not only his visiting increased, he gave Naruto a side glance before grabbing his pipe and cleaning the ashes within. Rumors has started to spread about the return of the nine-tailed fox. Kakashi immediately stiffened before he tightens his fist. This was the first time he was hearing this. He was too busy shadowing or playing with his charge for the news to reach him, and more importantly the boy was usually either in the library, sometimes in the Hokage's office, if the Hokage has time for him, or at the top of the Hokage monument, and not once did they had any encounter with the village people. Kakashi resisted the growl that was trying to come out from his throat. He knew who started the fire, and he was pretty sure the Hokage knows as well. Kakashi gave Naruto a side glance, who flinched when the words came out from the Hokage. I see. You already knew. It was a statement rather than a question from the Hokage. Naruto nodded. There were times when he got bored out of his mind that even studying Fuinjutsu is out of the question. The prankster side of him was too strong that he sometimes ditched the other ANBU that was assigned to watch him whenever Wolf was out on a different mission that greatly needed his skills. And it was these times that Naruto had the opportunity to escape them, since it was only Wolf who could never lost sight of him. He had once wandered the village public market and had been sightseeing when he suddenly felt the collective emotions, thanks to Kyubi, directly at him. It was of disgust, fear and hate, and that's when Naruto knew they knew. Hiruzen gave him pity. He had planned to make the boy's status a secret just like his mother, and his mother's predecessor. He knew what a Jinchuriki's life was. People driven by fear tend to isolate them, resulting into pushing Hishi into a corner of loneliness. But it seems that the cat was already out of the bag. Hiruzen mentally cursed his once teammate. He knew the man has good intention for the village, but his way of thinking are beyond inhuman. As much as Hiruzen was the Hokage, his hands were already full. Added the fact that he was already too old for this position. His successor had died early by sacrificing not only his life but his newborn son's future for the good of the village, and as much as Minato wanted his son to be known as a hero, he was hated and feared. Thus the boy was taken away by his mother's family, and not long after, the council had demanded his return, as they claimed that he was Konoha's to begin with, treating the boy as if he was an object rather than a human. It was also the reason why Hiruzen offered the boy to stay in the Hokage manor for the duration of time before he was to attend the academy, in order to protect the boy from the public's eyes. But it seemed that Danzo had enough of the Hokage's protection against him. There was only one thing for Hiruzen to do, and it might not pretty much change a thing, but at least the boy will grow up with ease around his peers, hopefully. I've already signed a law to forbid anyone from mentioning the tenant in you, and those who cross said law will be punishable by imprisonment. Though this not might do much, but I'm hoping for you to have friends your age. With Naruto nodded his thanks. He was glad that Gigi would go to such length, but he knew, like the Hokage said, it wouldn't do much. Now he's starting to want to return home. Mentally slapping himself, Naruto shoved the thought away. He came here on his own free will, and he was determined and left with a head held high. He's not going to back down now. Uzumaki Naruto never goes back on his word. Also Naruto looked back up to the old man, his eyes giving him sympathy. Oh, I am not going to like this, am I? He thought to himself. It would be best if you don't use Fuinjutsu for a while, the Hokage said, earning wide azure eyes. His mouth started to tremble. He can't do that to him. Fuinjutsu was like his whole life. His only escaped. He was about to protest but was stopped as the Hokage raised his hand, allowing him to finish first. Danzo is currently after your tail. I'm sure he's not only after you as a Jinchuriki. I'm positive that he's also after your knowledge in the Uzumaki Fuinjutsu. These pretty much adds the fuel in the already lighted fire, and he'll probably do anything to get his hands on you. To lessen the oil, I'd like for you to not use your Fuinjutsu until I can find a valid evidence to take down Danzo. Naruto tried to protest but see no other way to argue against Gigi's reasons. His mere existence in the village was a danger in both political and in human side. He knew that Danzo wouldn't be taken down that easily. He's a man in a high position and he has shadows everywhere. It'll be a long time before Naruto could use Fuinjutsu again. Kakashi could only give him a reassuring pat on the back. Naruto let out a heavy sigh. It had been 6 years since then, and not only was he forbidden to use Fuinjutsu, the Hokage even forbids him tackling the subject in his own apartment, completely making Naruto abandon the art. Groaning one last time, Naruto stood from his bed to take a shower before completely ending his day. Naruto steps out of Ichiraku Ramen after consuming a godly amount of bowls after bowls. God, he couldn't live without said food. He wiped a bead of sweat as the scorching heat of the afternoon touched his tan-kissed skin. Team 7 had been dismissed early after finishing yet another D-rank mission. Said mission was another backyard weeding from an elderly couple's house, which Naruto happened to enjoy for once. 1. The yard wasn't that big to weed. 2. Sakura for once didn't bash his head. And 3. The couple were kind to him, meaning there wasn't any hateful glare or harsh whispers in his back like the usual client do when they were doing other chore D-rank missions. Not because the elderly didn't knew him. In fact, the couple were retired shinobi that both respected the yandame's dying wish and felt petty for the boy for having such burden. At the moment of his birth given by his very own father, the couple mentally shocked their head at the villagers' treatment at him. They were blinded by their own grief to take a closer look at the young blonde to recognize the resemblance of their hero. After Team 7 finished their mission, their team captain dismissed them for the day as he submitted the accomplishment. As usual, Sakura asked Sasuke for a lunch date. As usual, Sasuke declined her dead. As usual, Naruto asked Sakura out, and as usual, she declined by calling him an idiot, and thankfully didn't bash his head and storm off. Thus, him walking out of his favorite ramen shop. Still can't believe they let him become a ninja. TSK. I pray he kill himself on one of those missions outside. I thought he didn't graduate. He must have threatened the Hokage. Demon bruh. Okay, that ruined Naruto's mood. One might have thought that he was already immune to the whispers. Yeah, right. For the love of God, Naruto's human too. He can still feel a tingle of hurt and annoyance. Hurt for not understanding the difference of a kunai and a scroll, and annoyance that he couldn't prank them anymore. Damn. I promised Gigi to take my ninja career seriously. Naruto wished they'd have a mission outside the village right now. It had been 3 weeks since their first C-turn A-rank mission, and they have been doing a lot of DS these days. Although most of the time were occupied with their sensei's deadly training and added the fact that their sensei had started implementing weights on them. Sure, the Uzumaki blood in him boosts energy to endure the torture, but Kakashi-sensei had also given him an extra exercise to be done on his own. Chakra control. Naruto knew he lacks control, especially when he has a huge ton of chakra living inside of him, and his Uzumaki genes added. He had to do the tree and water walking, the leaf sticking, chakra strings and so on, which Naruto have to mentally groan at that, back in Yuzu. The only chakra exercise, as far as what Naruto had learned, were tree and water walking. 2 of the basic where usually were used during actual combat, and their traditional combats were mostly taijutsu, kenjutsu and fuinjutsu. The third being where the Uzumaki's chakra are mostly needed as it requires a large and constant flow of chakra. And since ninjutsu were not commonly used there, the shinobi of Yuzu doesn't focus more on chakra control. Then again, that is how Yuzu shinobi are, and Naruto isn't in Yuzu shinobi. He is in Konoha and had graduated in the academy and became Konohagaku's shinobi, and as much as Naruto was uncomfortable in using a different art of combat, he needed to up his skills, especially in ninjutsu, to live another day. So, he had the chakra exercise to be able to perform other set of ninjutsu, especially since Sasuke team is famous with his katana. Speaking of the almighty Sasuke, after returning from Wave, he had instantly walked back to the Uchiha compound to show his mother of the new awakened Sharingan. The Uchiha clan, ever since the secret revolt, had been reduced to 3 members, one being the serial killer. It had become Sasuke's life goal to kill said killer, thus him striving to get stronger, and by that he strived to activate his Sharingan really fast, which of course wasn't that fast since he activated it during their last Wave mission. Ever since then Sasuke had been plastering his Sharingan on and off in front of Naruto, and if Naruto didn't know better, he thought that the Uchiha's rubbing it on him. Snapping away from his thoughts, he contemplates on finding Iruka-sensei but remembered that it was weekdays and lunchtime was already over, meaning he has class since the summer had already ended. Finding nothing else to do, Naruto was about to start his march to go home and wait for the time for Team 7 last schedule for the day when he suddenly heard his name. Naruto yo! Naruto turned to find teammate Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata and Inuzuka Kiba, the tracking team. Kiba was the one waving and calling at him. They were coming his way. You guys. What's up? Nothing much, man. Geez, it's been a while now, and to think not long ago we used to skip class. Naruto bumped fist with Kiba. It had been 2 months since Naruto had seen his classmates aside from his teammates, of course. It seems like, ever since they had graduated, Naruto was too busy on his own team that the thought of seeing his other classmates slipped his mind. Naruto don't really associate with his classmates, especially when he was usually out doing pranks during the day. But there were times where Kiba, Chuji, Shikamaru and him got bored out, skipped class. Of course, as always, Iruka-sensei would find them and drag them back to class. Naruto do wonder how his favorite teacher seems to find him anywhere when other Chunin and some ANBU, aside from Wolf, would never do. He mentally noted to ask the scared teacher, "You on a mission or something?" The blonde inquired, "Going to. We just came from the Hyuga compound to get Hinata and go straight to mission assignment office. Kurenai-sensei's waiting already," Kiba answered, pointing to the direction where they came from. Naruto nodded where the feral boy's thumb was and then glanced at Hinata, who was as usual poking her fingers together with a tinted blush on each cheek. She was hiding behind Shino and was secretly give him glances. Naruto gave her a smile, in which Hinata instantly reddened and fainted, Of course Shino was quick enough to catch him. Hinata! Naruto panicked. Before he turned to Kiba, is she alright? Is she sick or something? Kiba give him a are you kidding look. What? The blonde tilts his head in question. What's wrong? Hinata's just fainted. Gahahaha. Naruto twitched when he heard Kurama laugh inside his head. What are you laughing at? You stupid fox. Kurama instantly snapped. Who are you calling stupid, you pea-brain? You're the one who's too stupid to understand the situation here. What's the fox talking about? And why are Hinata's team giving him the same look? Hinata just fainted, although Naruto had thought that the girl would been well after they'd graduate, since the pale-eyed girl had been turning red when Naruto came up to talk to her, and he twitches again when the fox laughed louder than before. Naruto was about to berate him when he suddenly felt a hand on his shoulder. My, what do we have here? Didn't know you have it in you, Naruto? Kakashi said, appearing suddenly behind him. The genin suddenly jumped. Don't scare me like that, sensei. Naruto shouted, hand place where his heart is. Team 8 excuses themselves as Shino reasoned that their sensei was waiting for them and left with Hinata on his back. Naruto had to dismiss an itching feeling upon seeing Hinata on Shino's back. The Cyclops just give him a nice smile. Nope. Better get used to it, and beside I thought you were a censor? Naruto turned to him again and responded with a pout. Ma don't give me that look. We have a mission. Naruto tilt his head. 2 mission in a row? I thought you said 1 mission a day since we still have the final exercise and I still have my chakra control. Was unheard of. Not that Naruto was complaining. In fact, this might actually occupy him for the day. It's a C rank. Well, luck must be on Naruto's side today, and he was just wishing on it not long ago. What is it? What is it? Are we going to protect a princess? Or go rescue someone? He was pretty much bouncing off his feet. Kakashi has to resist face-palming. He mentally noted to teach the boy the different ranks of mission. Seriously, the kid was a good boy, but his stupidity must have a limit. Shaking his head, Kakashi tried to calm the boy. Now, if you let me finish. Naruto, calm down. Although Kakashi has to chuckle, Naruto was trembling in excitement. It's an escort mission to the land of rivers. Naruto's shoulder immediately lowered. Kakashi raised a brow. Now what happened to the excitement? Naruto looked at him. Are you sure it's a C rank? Last time it went bad. Kakashi chuckled. Yes, Hokage-sama had made it sure that it is. With what happened last time, I'm sure there are no repeats. I'll explain the details tomorrow bright and early. Make sure you pack well. And also we'll be canceling our last exercise, he said, ruffling the blonde's locks. Naruto jumps in triumphant from the information and was about to make a mad dash back to his apartment when Kakashi added more. But don't skip your chakra control, and poof, away he goes. Naruto could only stare at the smokes that his sensei made before screaming bloody murder in the open air. Chapter 4. The Land of Rivers and the Trouble. Sakura looked herself over the mirror one more time. The sun on her window was barely showing. Flipping her hair, she contemplates whether to let it hang loose or tied it up. They're C rank, and hopefully, it's right this time, since their last. Recalling their last mission to Wave, she realized that she didn't do much. She screamed when Kakashi-sensei was torn into pieces, she shivered in fear when Zabuza arrived, and she was cowering away from the bridge when they re-encountered Zabuza and his assistant Haku, while Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke-kun and even Naruto were trying their very best to fight them. Yes, she was Kunoichi of the year in their class. Yes, she exiled from theoretical subject, but what does it benefit from fighting strong opponents like Zabuza and Haku, or other stronger ones to come? Unlike Sasuke-kun and Naruto, both boys are capable in fighting. Of course, Sasuke-kun was strong, he was class rookie of the year. But then again he was reduced to almost his death while fighting Haku, although it made him activate his Sharingan and all. But ranking in class doesn't signify that you're strongest. Sasuke's situation proves that, and Naruto himself was another proof. Without him, Sasuke would have dead. He might not excel in theological, poor in ninjutsu and taijutsu, but he plastered a raw determination, a conviction where Sakura lacked. That's why, after thinking all this stuff, she instantly broke her schedule by rampaging in their kitchen refrigerator hunting for food in the middle of the night. Diet be damn. She wanted to catch up with her boys, maybe not Sasuke, but even Naruto is closer than Sasuke, and her first act was to gain energy as what her body wanted for the new training regime their sensei had created. That was after Kakashi had told them about their new training schedule 3 weeks ago. Maybe I should cut my hair? It does bother me during training. Deciding to tie it up for now, she grabbed her bag next to the door frame as she exited from her room. Having eaten onigiri prepared last night by her mother, she walked out her residence, leaving a note on the fridge for her parents to read. She walked the morning street of Konoha, and as expected it was silent. It was still early in the morning. Arriving at Konoha's gate, Sakura noticed that both Sasuke and Naruto were already there, and as always no sight of their sensei. Good morning, she greeted. Morning, Sakura-chan. HN. Checking the time, she noticed that it was already 6 sharp. She let out a heavy sigh as she flapped her bag down next to where Naruto was seated cross-legged. Guess we'll be waiting for another 2 hours, she said, glancing at Sasuke who was leaning on the large gate. Naruto nodded silently. 2 hours later. Yo, you're late, came the chorus voices of Naruto and Sakura. HN and Sasuke's grunt. You see, I was held back by a black cat. Why do we even bother asking, Sakura said, crossing her arms, or better yet, Why do we even bother coming in the time set when we all know you'll always be 2 hours late? The only time you bother to show up on schedule are during training, complained the blonde. HN and Sasuke. Kakashi sweat drop. Getting into business, Kakashi pulled out a scroll from his pouch and waved the kids to gather around him. Crouching down, Kakashi unrolled the scroll. A storage scroll? Surprisingly, it was Naruto who had asked. You're familiar with the seal, Naruto? Kakashi inquired. Seals are tackled during the academy, though they are merely limited to explosive tags, flash bangs and storage scroll, 3 of the most commonly used seals in the art of ninja. Since they were usually used, the seals written on them are non-complex and are limited as well. For example, the explosive tag, if it's the standard seal array, the effect are not that massive, same as the flash bangs, and common storage scroll are only limited to kunai and shuriken. The more complex the arrays of seal, the more wider the variety you can make use of them. Then again, Naruto knew of these, the boys in Uzumaki. Scratching the back of his head, Naruto sheepishly grinned. Well, I noticed the kanji for store, so, yeah, I immediately thought it serves it like that. A complete lie. That didn't went unnoticed by Kakashi. Well, at least his cover are improving. The blonde's an honest fella, for goodness sake. To have Sasuke and Sakura not see through it made Kakashi proud of the boy. He bet that was taxing for Naruto. You're right, Sakura added, finding the said kanji, and then looked back at Naruto's shock. Sasuke too was looking at the blonde, and eyebrow raise. What? I didn't know the dobe can read kanji. Sasuke snorted with a hint of wonderment. This of course fueled Naruto as he swung a punch towards the Uchiha, who of course dodged effortlessly. What did you said, Sasuke team? Baka Naruto. Don't call Sasuke-kun team. Q head smacking. Ma eyes back here. Kakashi clap his hands, gaining their attentions before they stray more on their main mission. As what Naruto said, this is a storage scroll. Our mission is to escort a medic nin to the land of rivers and retrieve a herb that only grows on said place and return here. Usually it isn't necessary for a medic nin to require escort, but the Hokage decided to insert another mission since it's in the same place. 2 missions on one team? Sakura asked. Yes. While the medic nin is on the process of getting the herb, we on another hand are tasked to give this to someone from the land of rivers. Kakashi placed a hand on the unrolled scroll. He pumped some chakra on it, and a poof was heard and reveal a wakizashi? Sasuke said. It was a blade between 30 and 60 centimeters long. Its sheath was shiny black and its handle wrapped in its usual black leather. So? Is it important or something for the client to hire us awesome ninja? Naruto was met with another smack. Not really, it's just an ordinary sword that needs to be returned. Kakashi answered them. Why is it in Konoha-sensei? Sakura asked, after giving Naruto a scolding look as said blonde was nursing his throbbing head. The pinkette cook her head, wondering as to what brought the sword to their village if the owner is in another. Apparently some bandits had stolen the weapon. The owner, who had issued a mission for the sword to Konoha, was lucky that it landed into a merchant that came to our village, he explained. The 3 genin nodded their heads. It isn't always such coincidence can happen. Storing the sword once again, Team 7 waited for at least 5 minutes before a male in white garb appears in front of Kakashi and started to converse with the jounin. The 3 genin immediately assume him as the medic. A few exchanges of words later, Kakashi called out his team and out they went to the land of rivers. Team 7 found themselves escorted to a large manor. It was 2 days later that the team arrived on the land of rivers. They were in one of the large villages of the country, which appears to be the capital. The medic nin immediately excused himself as he walked straight to the country's botanical department, whereas Team 7 went to the place of their client, which happened to be the richest person in the country, second to the daimyo of course. I don't know how thankful I am to you Konoha ninjas. Masato Suda, the owner, jubilantly shook Kakashi's hand, which happened to make his students pity and snicker at the man. Masato Suda had shoulder-length brunette hair that was tied in a ponytail. He had brown chocolate eyes and happened to be around 40s. He was wearing a black kimono and a brown sash. He was pretty much an average-looking man, except for the usual guards that seemed to be accompanying him inside and outside. It's our job, Kakashi awkwardly said, trying to retract his hand as he felt like it was about to pop out from his shoulder socket. Of course, this beefed up his students' amusement, sending them a glare. The 3 straightened in attention, but their body trembled still. Finally freeing Kakashi's hand, the jounin thanking the many gods for it, Suda gestured the team to a table where a set of tea and snacks are prepared. Come, have a sit. Naruto, the ever-hungry one, didn't wait for another invite and immediately attacked the offered food. Of course, Sakura grabbed the blonde's ear when the remaining members neared the table. Excuse my student, Kakashi apologized to the host who just waved his hand. Settling down, Team 7 and their sensei sat across from Suda, his guards on either side behind him. Kakashi pulled the scroll from his hustler and quickly applied chakra and unsealed the sword. Kakashi then, with 2 of his hands, brought the sword to Suda's side of the table and returned to his seat. Upon placing the wakizashi in Suda's hand, said man immediately unsheathed the sword. Sasuke tilted his head as his eyes caught the peculiar characters on the wakizashi's blade. This didn't went unnoticed by Suda. It's in bungo. Huh! Suda chuckled, gaining the attention of the rest of the team. He placed his hand on the characters on the blade. Is bungo language. Literally means old writing. Sasuke slowly bobbed his head as Suda allowed the raven to study the characters. Sasuke was unfamiliar with the writings, even the word itself. What does it say, Masato-san? Sakura queried. Unfortunately she was answered by a shook on the head by Suda. Please call me Suda, he said, making the pink head blushed and no. I wish I could. His eyes cast down, dejected as what the name implies. Bungo is an old and lost language said to have been used before the time of the legendary sage of Six Path. This sword happened to be a family heirloom passed down generation after generations. Naruto chowed on his food as he gave a skeptical look at Suda and at the sword in his hand. Nay Suraji, how did the bandits get their hands on the sword anyway? Naruto asked, after swallowing the food in his mouth, his head cocked sideways. The elder's expression showed dejection. My childhood friend Nakaji. There was a dispute between us, he needed money, a large amount, and since I couldn't give it to him, he said, though Naruto didn't talk, letting the man talk, he sold the sword to the bandits without any of my knowledge. Nakaji confessed his sin. At first I was furious, but then I understand that he really needed the money. I was ready to forgive him, but the bandits turned their backs on him and killed him. A lone tear threatened to come out from his eyes. Sakura, who had been listening, cried, giving Naruto a slap at the back of his head, scolding the blonde for asking such personal question. Sasuke was indifferent, while said blonde was frantically apologizing, although he still have this nagging feelings. You must have been very disheartened, Kakashi said. It wasn't a question but an understanding. Suda nodded before sheathing the sword back and give it to one of his guards, who immediately left with the weapon now that it had been returned to safety. I would like to discuss the payment for the mission, he said, changing the topic. Kakashi nodded as he and the soda conversed. My stomach hurts, Naruto lamented, hands cradling his abdomen. That's what you get for eating monstrously. Sakura chewed the complaining blonde and of course, Sasuke grunted in annoyance. Not my fault that sensei had to take up a long time talking about money, retorted the blonde. It had taken the two adults hours talking about the mission payment. Seriously though, it's just the payment. And in the end the two had agreed that a standard payment for C rank will be delivered to the Hokage Tower. Kakashi had thought that the client really wanted some company. After getting the client sign their mission for completion, the team then moved out to find that the medic ninja that went with them had yet to acquire the herb, as said herb had to be retrieved from the mountains, which is where usually grows. So, the team had decided to stay for another day until the herb is obtained, which brought the genin team wandering around the place, bags discarded back at the inn that they'd found. Baka! Don't go blaming sensei on it. They were discussing important matter, and it's still your own fault for not holding back. Seriously, you're not an animal, Naruto responded with another groan. Humph, don't bother with him. Once an idiot, always an idiot, the raven smirked arrogantly. Ah. You're right, Sasuke-kun. Let's go leave the idiot, and do stuff together. Sakura's eyes shaping into impossible hearts. Attitude turned a complete 360. TSK. Fucking annoying bastard, the blonde muttered to the raven in disgust. Don't call him that. Naruto now clutched his throbbing head. Speaking of, where's sensei anyway? TSK, he left after we drop off our back, said he has important matters to attend to. Important my ass. I bet he's somewhere perched up on a tree reading that perverted book of his, cried the blonde. The two members could only nod. Grunt from Sasuke. Walking farther to the center of the village, Naruto slowed his pace, his thought back to the wakizashi and the bungo characters that Sasuke had pointed out. A ubiquitous feeling lingered at the back of his mind that he can't seem to grasp. Seemingly ignoring the thought as one of his many imaginations, Naruto's face grimed, remembering his pain. The blonde's sudden dragging didn't escape Sasuke, nor did the profound look on Naruto. It was those one of his rare eccentric ways that Sasuke had taken note of out of their hyperactive team. Naruto, Sasuke called, making the blonde turn to him, face twisted in hate. What? Can't you see I'm hurting? He said, hands his stomach. Well, technically, the pain was lessening as Kurama unwillingly straight healing the boy, much to the Biju's aggravation. Fight me, was the sudden utter from the raven, making the blonde trip on his feet from the surprise. Immediately standing up, Naruto bashfully puffed his chest. What? Are you finally admitting that the great Uzumaki Naruto is stronger than you? As if you dope. Team. Sakura openly sigh in exasperation, dull from the usual banter. Then again, it would be bizarre if the two boys don't. Sakura was stopped from her musing when whispers were heard around them. The two male genin were too busy arguing to notice them. Are they shinobi? May the gods save their souls. Another offering for the demon Amon. I pity them, and they seem so young. Come now, don't stare at them. That's bad luck. One mother motioned her child away from them, and went straight back to what seemed to be their house. Slowly, the gathered people returned to their homes until the street was empty. Some even closed their windows. What was that about? Sasuke was the one who had asked, his eyebrow raised. He had stopped his assault on the blonde upon noticing the sudden change of behavior from the villagers. They were avoiding them like a plague. Kurama? I know, Kit, they're both frightened and worried at the same time towards you three. Naruto pondered. Well, at least he wasn't the only one being avoided in this village. But what was making the village feeling agitated? The blonde was snapped from his thoughts when he suddenly felt a presence approaching them. It seemed that they're at it again, a man said. He had messy brunette short hair and chocolate eyes. He was wearing a two-layer kimono. The inner thin kimono was white while the second was dark brown, and wore a rakusu around its neck. It was a monk, although he looked somehow familiar in the genin's eyes. In fact, he looks familiar to Suda-san? Sakura called in question. Didn't Suda have shoulder-length hair? Well, there were some differences though upon the genin's closer inspection. Like his jaw was a little wider than Sutta and his eyes are sharper than Sutta's, but the similarities were there. The monk chuckled. Although curiosity was plastered on his face, I take it you must be the ninjas that brought back my older brother's sword, he said, a twinkle of amusement in his voice. Be brother? The pinkette stutter, the monk hummed, bobbing his head. My name's Masato Satu, younger twin brother of Masato Sutta. He offered a bow. Naruto unintentionally bowed and returned, his hands clasped together. A pleasure to have met you. His two teammates gave a dumbfounded look at him. I'd like to say the same, but the place is not in accordance with the atmosphere. He gestured to the deserted street. Come, let's move to a more comfortable place. He gestured for them to follow. The three gave each other a look, seemingly conversing with their eyes. A moment later the three simultaneously nodded and followed the monk. The genin found themselves seating across from the monk, hot tea in front of them. Naruto declined the offer, grimacing upon sitting his eyes on them. They were in the residence of the monk beside the village temple that was a little bit farther west away from the main village, surrounded by thick forest, and was near a large body of fresh flowing river which happened to be the many branches of the large river in the country where its name came from. How did your mission go? Sato asked, opening up a conversation. The genin hesitated for a moment. It isn't that they don't trust the man or something. His presence give off a calm and comforting one, whereas Sutta, they feel a bit irk or annoyance. The mission itself is only between the client and ninjas, a ground rule study back when they were just academy students, and of course Sato seemed to understand their hesitation as he gave them an understanding look. It's okay if you mustn't. The life of a shinobi and a life of a monk are of difference. This caught the blonde's attention. Soto? Sato, no, monk. Satu. You idiot. Sakura corrected, swinging her fist. Naruto almost dodged the hit, almost. Sasuke just grunted in annoyance while Sato grimaced at the force and wondered how Naruto, as the genin introduced on their way to the place, is not unconscious. Arya Sadaji, why are you a monk? Not that I have a problem with it, it's just that you came off a wealthy family and I'm pretty sure they are the type to be bossy. A statement meant for the older brother. Sato hummed at the question and chuckled on how accurate he is on his older twin. Was the wealth actually came from my father's side, while my mother's family are quite the religious ones, and it seems that we brothers had inherited the separated views and attitude of our parents. He then looked solemn. This went unnoticed by the genin except for one blonde who not only saw the look but also felt the sudden change of emotion in him. Naruto was about to point it out when he suddenly felt something. Looking around, Naruto tried to find the strange feeling. The temple consists of the monks' three buildings: the monks' residence, where Naruto and the genin are, the worshipping area where the monks held their masses, and the shrine which had the common torii and the gong bell. But one place stands out the most, and it was the large cave placed behind the shrine. It has another torii, though larger than the one placed on top of the shrine. The cave itself was blocked with thick large rope with paper seals hanging on said rope. The cave's not much that deep since the inside was just visible. Said inside has a large rock and placed on it was the kanji for seal. Also the cave was a perfect view from where the genin and the Sato were. Naruto fought a shudder as his eyes linger on the cave. I take it that you're also feeling the vile presence emitting by the cave, Sato said while drinking on his tea. It seemed as it wasn't just Naruto feeling agitated. Both Sasuke and Sakura were also trying to hide their uneasiness, although Sasuke was doing better than Sakura. What is that place? Or should I say, what's in there? Sasuke deduced, trust the Uchiha to have keen mind. Yes, I have forgotten that you are foreigners from Konoha. Sato sighed in distress, a grim look on his face. What's wrong? The female of the team asked. The cave, he started gesturing to the cave, was made long time ago by a force of battle. Force of battle? Sato nodded. There's not much detail said about the battle, but long ago, before the village was formed, there was a demon residing the area, the demon Amon. Naruto's eyes bulged. This didn't escape Sato's. You've heard of it? The Raven and Pinkette nodded at the same time as Naruto. We've heard the villagers' whispers. Sakura remembered. Nodding, Sato gestured to an altar where a sheathed katana was placed among feet of the living energy of all beings, be it plants, animals and human, and as such, the place was once a lifeless land, until one day a Fuin master appeared. He fought Amon 2 days straight before he was sealed away. With Amon sealed away, the land slowly returned to life and people started to live in the place since the land was rich of minerals. The Fuin master, on the other hand, implied that Amon needed to be watched, so he created a shrine next to where Amon was sealed and passed the creed to the next generations. What was the Fuin master called? Naruto raised a hand like he was back in the academy. His features showed sudden interest in the topic, more precisely on the Fuin master. Both Sasuke and Sakura took note of this. Forgive me, but no one knew of the Fuin master, although he had resided to the village in order to keep hold of the demon. He had not spoken nor uttered his name, even to his pupils which later became the monks. He gestured to the monks outside and to himself. Naruto pouted, disheartened by the given answer. Sato chuckled it out, finding it cute. Sato-san? Sakura asked. Yes? About the villagers earlier. Yes, recently there are cases where shinobis from many villages are kidnapped and found dead and skin bone near the village border. The daimyo had asked some shinobis for help, thinking that there might be a rogue nin in the village, although they returned with empty hands. The villagers, however, started to speculate that the demon Amon has returned and is responsible for the kidnappings. Some even went further to blaming us monks for not doing what the Fuin master had left us to do. He sighed out in the end distress. Don't let down, Sataji. I'm sure you're doing your very best, beamed Naruto with a good guy pose. Sada's spirit lifted for a bit. You should listen to the dobe here. Don't let others oppress you just because they don't know what you are doing, Sasuke encouraged with his ever so brooding tone while crossing his arms. Oh? You're agreeing with me now, Sasuke-teen? I know that I'm much awesomer than you. As if you dead last. Say that again. You tomato stoner. Sasuke froze. This of course got the blonde barking out a laugh, and Sakura merely covered her mouth. How did you know? Mumbled Sasuke. Gah-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. Between the blonde's laugh, he was already on the floor rolling with both hands on his stomach. I said, how did you know? The raven suddenly grabbed Naruto's collar, choking the still laughing blonde. Shuffling away from the death hold of the angry Uchiha, Naruto stood a good distance away from the table. You have tomatoes on every bento back at the academy. You munch on them when you thought no one was looking outside school grounds, and most importantly, you have a tomato garden back at your compound. An accusing finger pointed at the raven. Stop making up things, Naruto baka. Berated Sakura. It's not bad to have tomatoes. It's good for the health, unlike you. And besides, there's no way the cool and handsome Uchiha Sasuke be planting tomatoes in his garden. It's so Ina-like. Nay, Sasuke-kun? She turned to Sasuke for confirmation, who happened to be read by now. Jaya ha ha ha. You look like the thing you ate. And Naruto continued laughing. That's it. Sasuke finally snapped, attacking the blonde. The two rolled out the place into the open ground where the strangling and pulling turned into a fist fight. Should we stop them? Satu, who had been silent the whole time, finally asked the remaining genin. Said Pinkette snapped out from her shell. Shako was the only thing she uttered upon returning from reality, and then noticed the boys fighting outside, making a scene as some monks started to gather around them. Don't worry about it. They won't stop until either one of them gives up, Sakura said, before returning to her thoughts where she and her inner self started to debate about their Sasuke-kun's addiction, leaving Satu dumbfounded, before a smile grazed his face, forgetting his worries as he looked on the broiling boys. The three genin later found themselves walking their way to the inn. Two of our brews. Seriously, guys, can't there be a day where both of you don't fracas, said their only female companion. Sasuke grunted and pointed his head away from them. Naruto only grumbled to himself and silently arguing with his tenant, as said tenant was refusing to heal him up, a punishment for allowing himself be defeated by an Uchiha. It was nearing sunset. The group had left the temple with a promise to stop by before leaving the village. Nay, guys, said their Pinkette after a moment of silence, bringing both boys' attention. About what, Satasa and the villager said? About the demon Amon. She turned to them worriedly. Don't get her wrong. She knew being a ninja meant facing up dangerous missions or unexpected encounter with high-ranked rogue nins, like Zabuza and Haku. But it wasn't stated that they'd be facing up demons. I mean, yes, there are ninjas that fought demons and all, like how the Yondaime Hokage fought the Kyuubi. Naruto and Kurama suddenly sneezed. They're just genin. And Sakura was starting to feel that they'd be an unordinary bunch, and their last mission back at Wave was the igniting force. What about it? Sasuke stuck his hands on his pocket. Do you think it's real? Her voice came to a whisper. Pff, as if. I mean, didn't Sadaji said that the monks at the temple are keeping him unlocked, and you can tell by the way the cave gives of this chilling feeling at the back of your spines that he's still there, Naruto remarked, and besides, I think the villagers are just exaggerating. A bit relief, Sakura gave Naruto a ghostly smile. Trust the blonde to lighten up things. Suddenly the sun was out of sight, not because it completely set but because of the dark gray clouds quickly forming, followed by a sudden flash and a loud thunder before a heavy rain. Running their way to their inn, the genin entered their accommodation to find their sensei seating cross-legged on the tatame. Surprisingly not reading his porn but was looking kind of like a professional ninja, and the genin suddenly felt uneasy. Naruto took notice of the man's chakra flow. He felt the constant shift of emotions, from worry to phlegm and to stupefaction. Naruto noted that the last one was when he finally noticed them in the room. You're back. How was your day? The jounin gave them a smile, although the genin could tell he was faking it. Not that they could really tell what he really is feeling under that mask. What's wrong, sensei? Sakura's worries started to ignite. The silver-haired man sighed out his build-up emotions. Apparently the medic Nin we came with has gone missing now. Sakura was frightened upon hearing the words came out from their sensei. The party that he went with to retrieve the herb were found dead halfway to the mountains, and him missing. He continued seating back. The genin followed Kakashi's example and sat across from him. I've already dispatched my summons and tried sending out a report back to the Hokage, but the storm was too strong for my ninkins to go, and apparently said storm would last for at least 3 days. Sakura was right. Their team were no ordinary genin team. Sakura tightened her hold on her blanket that was already wrapped around her body. The chilling wind passing through the small gaps of the closed windows and sliding door that connected to the balcony of the room. The kunoichi heave out a long sigh. The sound of pouring rain resonate the cold four-walled. The supposed 3 days lasting storm turned into a whole week of everlasting pouring rain. Not only that, the wind accompanying the storm had also gotten stronger, leaving the genin confined. It was already evening. Sakura couldn't tell since it was always cloudy and the sun had not shown itself for the whole week of the 3 genin confinement in the room. Speaking of genin, Sakura glanced to the boys of the room. Naruto was in his sleeping bag, curled under the table of their accommodation, his body shivering from the cold. Since they didn't expect it to take longer staying in the country, the genin only brought small amount of cash, and with the addition of their senseis, the 4 chipped it in and settled on a small single room where there's only 1 pair of futon and a single electric fan, which of course was not used since they'd rather use the heater. Supposedly, Their payment was only for a one-night stay, but with the storm occurring, their sensei had talked it out with the innkeeper and promised to pay them with interest once he returned to Konoha, and just to be sure, Kakashi signed an agreement paper with them. Sakura was so grateful of the jounin. If not for him, they'd be sleeping out somewhere on muddy grounds. She mentally noted to give Kakashi a thank you gift when they return. She'll probably force the boys to join in too. Turning to the third member, Sasuke was on a corner with his own blanket wrapped around him. His headband protector was removed as his head leaned back to the walls, and he was somewhat agitated. His brows knitted closer than normal told her so, and she knew why. Sasuke's a workaholic when it comes to training. In fact, he's constantly training that it became a routine for his body that he'd feel alien and unease, hence what he is experiencing now. Of course, Naruto's also was a hard worker too. Sakura mused at the tossing blonde, and she wonders when the blonde would finally snap. Damn it! Where's that scarecrow of a sensei? He's been gone the whole day. Sakura has to jinx it. Naruto leapt out of his sleeping bag muttering something about using Kakashi as a real scarecrow on a rice field. True to what Naruto said, during the past few days their sensei had been busy going in and out of their accommodation, said that he was preoccupied searching for the missing medic Nin. Of course his kids had also tried to offer help, but the jounin kindly declined since it was still storming and the grounds would be so dangerous for the genin in helping the search, and assured that he'd be fine alone, though the kunoichi still has to worry for him, especially when the demon Amon's been kidnapping shinobi, and Sakura was sure that it was the demon that took the medic Nin. She shook her head, shoving the thought away for thinking such absurd things. How can she accuse such a feat when there was no evidence showed, and even if they were, she knows that Kakashi-sensei would not trouble himself in sharing such information. And I'm hungry. Naruto's voice brought the girl back, the blonde, still complaining about their wayward sensei, and as to prove himself, his stomach grumbled. Shut up, Naruto baka. Don't you have those cup ramen of yours that seem to be endless? I wish it be true, but my ramen are all gone. He mumbled the last word, shuffling to his bag, praying that a cup ramen would miraculously appear. It's your fault for eating them all, knowing that we're stuck here surprisingly for almost a week. Naruto pouted at the remark from the pinkette. Sighing, he snapped his bag shut, giving up on the god of ramen forever hearing his prayers. Once an idiot always an idiot. Sasuke comment, finally speaking. Shut up, team. Just because you're etching to train doesn't mean you have rights to put me down. Go bother someone else. I'm depraved of food. I know, food's an important aspect for survival. A tick mark formed on the raven's head, annoyed for interpreting him. Stop that. Make me. Sakura sighed out in frustration, and here she thought that Naruto decided to for once not argue with Sasuke, but then again they'd be accused for imposters if they don't. The two sent each other heated glares before. Surprising, Naruto lay back down on the tatami, arms and legs spread. Of course this shocked both Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto don't back down on a fight, especially when it's Sasuke. Then again the constant rumbling coming from the blonde's stomach thought otherwise. The silence passed. The pouring rain from outside was the only sound heard as the three indulged the peaceful and somewhat comforting silence. Naruto called the Uchiha, said blonde, turned his head to where the raven was. What? Sasuke didn't say anything for a moment, his dark eyes piercing azure ones as if trying to read the blonde's soul. Do you miss them? Huh, your family, Yuzu, do you miss them? Sasuke's eyes were looking away when he asked Naruto. Sakura wondered the sudden change of topic but kept her mouth shut, curious of what Naruto's answer might be. The blonde turned his gaze upward to the ceiling. A ghostly smile graced his lips. His thoughts drifted away to the familiar sea breeze that he usually woke up to before he moved to Konoha, the waves that he usually rode off during the summer, the heat of the sun kissing his tan skin, the cries of the seagulls as they fly above the setting sun, his first friends that he got in trouble with, his pranks, yes, Yuzu didn't survive from the king of pranks, and the ginger mops of hair that he usually associated with. Yes, Naruto missed them. Not a day would pass where he wished to experience the sensational feeling that his childhood grown accustomed with. There were also times where he was regretting accepting the demands of the council. Being separated from his family was hard for him at first. The sudden change of surroundings troubled him. He would always wake up with the expectation of the seagull's cries but was met with the sparrow's twits. But Naruto has to endure. He had to accept that he already belonged to Konoha after a few hours of his birth. But what really pursued him to go to Konoha was knowing the fact that it was the place where his father had lived, it was the place that his father saved, where he became a famous shinobi, a kage and a hero. Titles that Naruto one day wanted to have as well. I do, he finally answered the Uchiha, but I'm a person that never wanted to regret anything, and besides, there's yet to have an Uzumaki as Hokage, he declared with such sincerity. Idiot, bastard. Sakura smiled at the banter. That's it. Standing up once again, Naruto straightened his clothes, grabbing his kunai hustler. The blonde moved to where his sandals are. Where are you going? Sakura asked. Out to find something to eat. You can't, Kakashi-sensei said not to leave the room, and besides, where can you find any when it's storming very badly outside? And to prove her point, the accommodation's window rattled from the strong wind. But I'm hungry. Plus, I think I saw a vending machine near the reception area, and if you want I'll bring you some too. Sighing out in defeat, Sakura hung her head. No winning this time. For the past few days, their sensei was the one who bring them food whenever he returned from the search. More specifically their dinner, since the jounin would leave early morning and would return around 7 p.m. and besides, the genin could survive without breakfast or lunch. Sasuke and Sakura specifically, while Naruto's a hungry bastard that thanks to his cup ramen he'd survived till dinner, and it just so happened that his supply had already ran out and Kakashi-sensei's running late, although the man was known to be one and Sakura had to agree that she too was famished. "I'll go with you," Sasuke said, grabbing his own hustler and moved to where Naruto was to put on his sandals. "I'll go too." "No, it's better for you to stay here in case Kakashi returns, and besides, knowing this idiot here, he'll empty the vending machine before he remembers to bring you any." Hey, Sasuke was right. It'd be a surprise for their superior if he returns to an empty room, although he'll probably find them easily with that keen nose of him that rivals an Inuzuka. She was about to protest but thought otherwise. Besides, it sounded like Sasuke-kun wanted her to be safe. CJ. Could it be that Sasuke-kun has already started falling for me? While Sakura was in her own thoughts, the two boys already left the room, their voices echoing the hallway, arguing incoherent things. "Hurry up, Doe!" called the irritated Uchiha to the Uzumaki crouching in front of the vending machine. "Are you blind or something? Can't you see I'm still picking?" retorted the said Uzumaki. "How many do you need anyway?" Sasuke shouted, pointing at the armful of foods on Naruto. It had been 30 minutes since the two had left their accommodation in search for food, and true to Naruto's words, there really is a vending machine near the reception area. And not just one vending machine but three. One for cold drinks, another for hot ones, and the last for instant cook packs. And Naruto was constantly pressing more on the third one since he had found ramen on the menu. Sasuke has to wonder why the blonde hadn't gone bankrupt yet, as said blonde was constantly pulling out money after money from his green-toed wallet. "Enough to fill my belly. I haven't had any lunch, and the breakfast this morning were leftovers from last night's dinner. For your information, you aren't the only one who hadn't eaten since this morning, although lucky for you, you have breakfast since you didn't leave any for us." His patience was leaving him. He wondered if their female teammate was dying out of starvation as they wasted more time out here, not that Sasuke wanted the female dead. Sakura was a good kunoichi, heck, he even dares say a great green kunoichi, only if she focused more on improving rather than fussing over Sasuke. True, that girl was already trying her best, like how she endured Kakashi's training, increasing her chakra reserved, but she has yet to find her calling of what position she wanted to attribute to the team. She had the brain and perfect chakra control, she was already provided with skills that only needed to improve, and yet she wasted them all the way for her own fantasy. Sasuke had to admit that Sakura was pretty, not comparable to Ino's. The Yamanka's mother was gorgeous already, but compare with Ino. Sakura's personality was kind and a little bit shy rather than the brash Yamanaka, but her determination and strong will to stand level as the clan children really made Sasuke admire her. But then again, that was back before she was his fangirl and before Itachi had killed his family aside from their mother. Compared to back then, Sasuke has no time for admiration or infatuation right now. He needed to get stronger and avenge his clan, and after that is when he will think of repopulating his clan, women, and if Sakura up herself, then maybe, just maybe, he'll choose her. Naruto was about to make a comeback when someone suddenly interrupted their argument. "Oh, it's you guys." The two turned to the voice to find Satoji. "Call Naruto." Satu, like last time they saw him, was wearing his monk robes. He was also holding a plastic bag, giving them a warm smile. "I guess you got caught in the storm, huh?" Naruto bobbed his head, while Sasuke just hummed. "What are you doing here, Aji?" "Oh, the monks and I were sending out provisions for the villagers since the rain hasn't stopped yet," he said, gesturing to the plastic bag he was holding. The two genin nodded. "Sending out then? How'd you walk your way here when it's storming hard outside?" That Satu pulled out a piece of paper with arrays of lines surrounding the kanji character for barrier. "A barrier seal?" It was Sasuke who said, remembering the time when Naruto guessed the storage scroll that was used in keeping Suta's wakizashi. Though Sasuke doubted Naruto just guessed it, he knew the blonde was accustomed with seals, his and Uzumaki. The seal had the same arrays the storage scroll has, the only differences are the kanji use and the additional arrays placed on it. Nodding yes, although we might not be shinobi, our masters teaches us enhancement of chakra as a means of application to seals we used. I guess the Fuin master also wanted to make sure that we can keep him on at bay, he added. "I'm sure he did, Databeo." Sasuke and Satu were giving Naruto deadpan looks after his exclamation. Said Naruto nervously scratched the back base of his neck. "I usually say that whenever I get too excited, he sheepishly said. Sasuke don't know if he should add the new knowledge to his list of mysteries surrounding the blonde or create a new list of stupidity. Recovering, Satu noticed the armful of foods on Naruto. "I'm guessing that it's supply for the duration of the storm?" "Nope, that's all for the idiot," Sasuke said, a matter of fact, earning a grimace look from Sato. "Hey, I'm sharing some to Sakura-chan. I guarantee it'll be just January 4th th. Satu chuckled, pulling out 4 onigiri's. The monk handed it to the genin here. "It's not enough, but I hope this will help you from filling a bottomless stomach. Even if just a little," he teased, making the blonde blush, thanking the monk for the treat. "Anyways, I have to go. I only took a short stop here since the rain got heavy earlier." Giving the boys a bow, Satu walked towards the inn's entrance, exciting the place to resume his mission. "Kit, I feel something wrong about that man," Kurama stated after Satu was out of their sight. "What do you mean, Kurama?" he mentally asked, unwrapping the onigiri and popping it in his mouth. "He feels different than last time." He hummed out loud as both boys walked their way back to their accommodation. Sasuke, who was also eating his own onigiri, gave him a look once he heard the blonde. "What? Nothing. Naruto snapped. Like what kind of different? Naruto yawned, suddenly feeling somnolent, like how your body's suddenly taking in drugs. The panic cry of the Biju went unheard as Naruto fell to the ground, followed by Sasuke. I was hoping that you'll share some to your teammates, but it seems your hunger changes everything. Sada stood above the teens. At least taking you will be easy, knowing your sensei. He'll probably immediately recognize the drugs on them. A sinister smile creep across his lips. Chapter 5 Brothers. Thank you very much. Kakashi took the offered tea from the monk as he dried himself from the towel that was given to him earlier. Said monk sat across from Kakashi. Don't mention it. The rain's gotten much stronger. I'm surprised the water hasn't risen yet. Sada said, gaze on the open sliding door towards the river next to the temple. Returning his attention to the jounin, he took note of the man's uniform and the headband protector, probably those kids' team leader. What brings you out in this weather? Sada question. Kakashi shook his head around, shaking the water away from his hair like a dog as the once gravity-defying silver hair dump. One of our companions went missing almost a week ago, and I've been searching for his whereabouts ever since, he informed. The two had crossed paths when Kakashi was near the temple, and at the same time the weather worsened, and so he decided to take shelter to the shrine. Lucky for him, Sato found him there and offered Kakashi in. Must be hard on you. What about the kids? Are they also searching along with you? This startled Kakashi a bit before he returned to normal. No, it's too dangerous for them, but I'm surprised you knew about them. Although you look kinda familiar. Chuckling, Sato covered his hands on the sleeves of his kimono when he crossed his arms, probably because Masato Suda's my older twin brother. I'm sad by the way. Kakashi nodded, finally grasping the similarities of the two, and took the offered hand, shaking it with his. Kakashi, Hatake Kakashi. As for the kids, I meet them last time at the center of the village. Lively kids you have, especially the boys. Kakashi sighed out in exasperation. Lively is an understatement when referring to his boys. They're like a ticking time bomb together. Speaking about his genin, it was already past the time of his usual comeback and he's yet to bring them dinner. Remembering that they hadn't eaten breakfast and lunch because of a certain blonde's supply of ramen ran out, Kakashi hung his head low. As much as he loved and adored the Uzumaki, there are times where he really wanted to strangle the kid with his stupidity as such right now. Though, it can't be helped since it's an Uzumaki thing to have a bottomless stomach. If his late sensei's pocket had survived when he and Kushina-san were just dating, how much had the Yellow Flash's money were spent when Kushina was pregnant with Naruto? Kakashi shivered at that thought, an image of his wallet empty. You must be crazy in love for you to sacrifice your wealth to be with that woman. He prayed up to his sensei, a mental image of Minato giving him a good guy pose from up above the heavens. Before he strayed further on his thoughts, Kakashi prayed that the rain eased out even for a bit. He needed to return to his students fast. Whatnot with his discovery. He's not letting them get hurt once more, especially when I'm not around. Hatake-san, did my brother also offer an investigation about Nakaji? Asked Sato, wondering. Kakashi raised a brow. Didn't Suda say Nakaji died at the hands of the bandits? Weren't you informed that he was killed by the very ones who he had sold your family heirloom wakizashi? He sold the what? But he went missing 3 months before the sword was stolen, and I thought the sword was misplaced during one of my brother's travel for his business? Kakashi gave him a look of confusion. Tell me about Nakaji? He asked, ignoring what Sato said. A bit startled, Sato studied him for a moment. Nakaji was a shinobi from Suna. He moved here 5 years ago, when he was disabled during one of his mission, leaving him unable to take the career any longer. Since Nakaji was a shinobi and was able to harness chakra, we offered a place for him in the temple. Although my brother and I's relationship are estranged because of my chosen career, he and Suta became close. I don't know the details, but one day the two had a dispute, and not longer than that the two cut their friendship, and months later Nakaji went missing. Humming to himself, Kakashi put a hand under his chin deep in thought. Weird, it's either Suta didn't told his brother the real reason of how the sword was stolen, or Sato was telling the truth, and if the latter was true, then why Suta would claim that the sword was stolen, and even framed Nakaji? Suddenly, Kakashi was shell-shocked, his eyes widening after realizing something, making Sato concerned. Kakashi-san? Startling Sato, Kakashi immediately stood on his feet and moved to where his sandals are. I have to go. Kakashi-san, what's going on? He went after him. Panic slowly dwells on his face. During my search, I've came across rumors about many shinobi nearby going missing and are mostly returned lifeless. Body, skin and bones. Sato confirmed him that he is knowledgeable about it. I've inquired about it, and it seemed to have been started 3 months ago. And, turning his attention to Sato, Kakashi gives him a look. I've also heard that your brother Suta secretly hired shinobi without the knowledge of your daimyo, and every single one of them didn't return to their homes alive. Sato's eyes widen. Are you trying to tell me that my brother's responsible for this? Voice raising from anger. Yes, he and Suta might have a loose end of their relationship, but he is still his brother. They both came from their mother and both had grown up together. I'm not really sure, but my hunch is telling me and my kids are out there without my protection, and as much as he believed that they can handle themselves, it's a different matter when a demon is involved. And yes, Kakashi also knew that it had something to do with the sealed demon Amon. He gave a side glance towards the cave behind the shrine. This didn't go unnoticed to Sato. I disagree with your hunch, but if what you're thinking right now is the same as I am, I want to go with you, and as much as I trust the teaching of the Fuin Master, I cannot help but doubt of what's going on right now. Sato said, confused of the situation. Nodding, Kakashi allowed the monk to come with him. Brother, what's going on here? Why is everybody dead? Are we under attack? Sasuke's panic cry resounded their empty house as Itachi stood his back on him, his tanto dripping with blood, and in front of him was a lifeless body. Wah! Slowly Itachi turned his head towards Sasuke, his eyes blazing red. And are those tears? Frightened, Sasuke cast his eyes down and directly to the dead body on his brother's feet. His voice suddenly hitched when he recognized the body. Father, I killed them. Sasuke, his voice cracked, but sent chills down the young Uchiha's body. Sasuke looked back up to his brother. Why no? You're lying. You're not my brother. That's it, you foolish little brother. This is me, the real me. But why? Why would you do such a thing? To uncle? To auntie? He demanded, a flash of emotion that Sasuke didn't caught cross his brother's face. To test my capability, to test my Sharingan. Sasuke gasped out loud, body trembling. He couldn't believe the words that came out of his dear kind brother's mouth. All of this for his own, for his Sharingan. No! No! I won't, I don't believe you! He yelled in denial. Itachi's eyes shifted into a new Sharingan. Very well, then let me show you. Before Sasuke knows it, he was looking directly into his brother's eyes. His brother's lower lip bitten, his own body trembling as if resisting to cry, and immediately it was replaced by visions and saw his relatives, clansmen, being killed by his dear kind older brother's hands. Forgive me, Sasuke, came the soft whisper of his brother's voice before Sasuke was trapped into his brother's genjutsu. Sasuke groaned as his consciousness returned, his body stiff from his current position, which by the way how his head was leaning on a hard elevated surface and his body twisted, in a strange position. Trying to fully wake, Sasuke wonders why he had dreamed about the massacre, and how those details seemed to be more focused on than the words his brother had spoken. It was surreal to be true. Shoving those thoughts to the back of his mind, Sasuke regarded them as his thoughts of what-ifs. Now fully awake, he opened his eyes to find that his vision was foggy and waited a few seconds to refocus his sights. Once they were clear, Sasuke noticed that he was somehow in a dark place and on a concrete floor, closing eyes one more time before he opened them again. Sasuke's vision cleared and noticed the metal bar inches away from him and the low lightings of light bulbs emitting from the other side of the metal bar. Sasuke also noticed that his arms were restrained. Good morning, Sleeping Beauty. Did you have a nice nap? Naruto's sarcastic voice came across from him. Another cell. Naruto? No, the tomato fairy. Snarling from the joke, Sasuke tried seating up and look across from him to find the blonde seating cross-legged, his hands also restrained to his back. What happened? Asked the raven-haired boy, trying to study his surroundings. They seemed to be in a prison hall, Sasuke concluded as he noticed more cells from each of their own sides. Apparently the onigiri we ate had been drugged, Naruto answered. I'm surprised you figured that out, Sasuke said, fake amused. Bastard. I've been awake for 4 hours now. Figures, was what the raven muttered. Of course Naruto heard him as a tick mark appeared on the Uzumaki, sighing out in defeat. Naruto took breaths as he tried to calm himself. Looks like not only our hands are restrained but also our chakra, he informed. Sasuke tried to activate his Sharingan to investigate, and found that he was unable to do so, confirming what the Uzumaki had stated. He also notes the arrays appearing on his chest, the chakra suppressor seal. Satu. No, it was a henge, stated Naruto, correcting the Uchiha. Apparently Naruto had come to the conclusion upon his awaken, like Sasuke. He too was wondering what had happened and only took Kurama's loud scolding of him being reckless again for him to remember everything. That's when he also remembered what Kurama had stated earlier and now noticed the chakra coating Satu, and besides, who the hell sends out provision to the country's largest village, and added the fact that the monks live outside the village. Of course Kurama had yelled at him more for at least an hour, and since then the two had been arguing till Sasuke had awakened. Stupid fox, mind you, my kid. But it is you who had missed the small details because you were too preoccupied on your loud monstrous stomach to be filled. Seriously, Naruto winced at the loud voiced. Hello? A man suddenly shunshed in front of Naruto's cell. The man appears to be around Kakashi-sensei's age. He had silver undercut short hair, and his eyes were closed since the man was smiling at him. He wore black turtleneck long sleeves over a dirty white sleeveless haori and a gray sash wrapped around, partnered by brown pants that reaches just below his knees as bandages cover both legs, and a pair of black flat shoes. Naruto stared at the man for almost a minute. Ah! Screeched Naruto, the sound echoing the empty hall. Naruto shuffled deeper into his cell. Hayato stopped at another man, Shunshin. He was bald and was wearing Satu's clothes. Or in other words, the monks, he was giving the Hayato man a look that resembles a parent scolding their naughty child. Boo, you're no fun, Shinobu, pouted Hayato, moving away from Naruto's cell and turned to the one across from his. Ah! The other kid's awake too. He bumped his way to Sasuke's cell, sticking his head in between the gaps of the bar. Sasuke did what Naruto did, well, aside from the screeching of course, and moved deeper to his cell. Not that he was afraid of the man, it's just that they are in an unknown place, and there are two unknown people. Sasuke might be a power hunger, but he knew not to underestimate anyone. Naruto's a prime example for that. Oh, those black onyx eyes and raven hair, and here I thought that you were just sporting the symbol, he giggled insanely, gesturing to the Uchiha fan to think we'd land our hands on one of the remaining Uchiha. A maniac laugh followed. Sasuke resisted a shiver at the sound. By now he knew that these men are shinobi with how they knew of his clan, and how the two are emitting bits of killing intent. Finally collecting himself, Naruto turned to Shinobu and realized that it was him who had given them the drug Donijiri. Bastard! What did you do to Sadaji? Naruto shouted, banging his head to the metal bars. The monk, as Sasuke concluded with the way he stands, give Naruto a stare before moving them back to Sasuke's and Hayato's. Fret not, we hadn't land any harm to him. As much as I despise the man, he said in a monotone voice. Naruto merely growled at him like an animal. Oh? Feisty little fella. Hayato crouched back down to Naruto's level. Grabbing hold of his blonde looks, he forcefully pulled his head upward. I hate brats like you. Think you're strong and mighty. Stop playing ninja kid. KH. Doesn't that sound familiar? Came the amused voice of Kurama in Naruto's head. Grinning, Naruto spat at Hayato. Funny. Eyebrowless. Zabuza said that to me once. Sasuke on the other cell smirked at Naruto's remark. Although the blonde couldn't see him from the darkness of the cell and from the way Hayato was holding him, he could sense the glee emitting from the raven. Hayato clicked his tongue. Annoyed at the cockiness, he slammed the blonde's head to the metal bar hard, making a loud bang. Hayato, enough. Don't let your emotions get to you. Besides, we need them for the offering. Shinobu pulled a hand holding Naruto away. Damn you. You'll die soon, and I'll enjoy every bit of it. His voice echoed around the hall as he was dragged away by his companion. As the sound slowly dissolved, Sasuke finally moved out from the back of the cell, finding it sure that the men aren't coming back. Glancing at the blonde, he was face first on the ground motionless. A look of concern crossed the raven's face. Naru, god damn, that hurt. Naruto groaned, slowly lifting himself up. Sasuke gasped when a river of blood dripped down his face. Are you alright? Raising his brow in confusion, Naruto noticed the blood on his face. This? It's no big deal. Sasuke's sweat dropped. Either the blonde was an idiot, which he is, or was just immune to pain, and if the latter's true, then he envied the blonde's tolerance. Heck, I think every ninja would envy his tolerance, whatnot, with their career. And as Sasuke was busy debating himself, Naruto on the other hand was listening with his own tenant complaining. Well, at least he's not talking with himself. Brag all you want, kid. You're lucky you have me to heal you. Shut it. Just heal me already. I'm losing focus here. True to his words, Naruto was feeling dizzy from the blood loss. Damn. As much as he was glad that he had a tenant to heal him, there were also times like this that the giant fox wanted him to suffer. Naruto was tempted to tighten the seal in his belly to shut him up. Finally feeling that the fox was doing his stuff, Naruto returned his focus to Sasuke. So? What do we do? Kakashi-sensei won't find us since the rain washed our sense away. Shaking his head, Sasuke taken what Naruto said for a moment before his face transformed into thinking mood. Never mind that, we need to get out of here. You heard what that bald guy said. We're going to be sacrificed, and I'm still too young to die. A panic look plastered on his face. Sasuke sighed out exasperatedly, annoyed at the blonde's idiocy. Cursing, Sasuke chastised himself for falling to a simple trap. If he had failed to distinguish such cheap act, then how is he going to kill his brother? And he thought just because he had awakened his Sharingan, he'd come closer to achieving his goal. Such immaturity. Naruto suddenly felt the sudden alter of emotions from the Uchiha. He could tell that the raven was frustrated at their situation, and he bet his castigating himself for being weak. Naruto sighed out, remembering their first introduction at the rooftops of their academy. Sasuke had strongly professed his ambition back then. He still could remember the tempestuous feeling realizing from the raven. It was so strong that Kurama had stated that it almost got to his level of hate, and that was not good. Nay, Sasuke, he called, snapping the raven from his turmoil thoughts. Why do you want to kill your brother so much? The raven didn't answer. In fact, he was shell-shocked from the sudden question. Guess Naruto had touched a sensitive topic, but then again, he knew how the Uchiha was devastated that his very own brother killed their whole clan, except for him and his mother. In one night, heck, Naruto would actually feel the same thing if a similar situation occur on his own clan. But the ever-curious teen he can't help but ask why. Why would a prodigious shinobi like Itachi kill his clan? If he had someone he hated on the clan, then why go such length to diminish them to two? As far as Naruto knew Itachi, he was one of the many ANBUs that watched him when Wolf's not around. The older Uchiha's atmosphere and chakra were calm and calculating. Although when Naruto got in trouble for missing the other ANBU, he could feel the kind and amused big brother air around him. To have that atmosphere and changed into a deadly monster is not credible, especially when he felt no foul emotions emitting from the man. Naruto knew Sasuke's a kind-hearted one from the very beginning. Heck, he even saw how he'd comfort Sakura-chan once, back when Naruto was still new in the village. It was those times when he ditched his ANBUs since Wolf was not the one guarding him at that time. Whether Sasuke might have forgotten that time or choose to ignore it, Naruto knew that he still cared about the pinkette. Heck, even he knew that he cared for Naruto. The way he saved the blonde from Haku's Sinbins proves it. He's just too preoccupied from the thoughts of killing his brother, too concerned in improving himself way faster to face him, when in fact he's slowly weakening his body by pushing too hard and corrupting his mind from shouldering it all to himself, when he knew that there are someone around him willing to help, like how Iruka-sensei, Jiji, the Ichiraka father and daughter and Kakashi-sensei were there for Naruto. Naruto didn't wait for the Uchiha to talk or better yet barked at him. His looks give it away and continue on, or rather, what was the real intention of the massacre? A looming dark look shone on Sasuke's face. He wasn't used being asked about the massacre, and in fact others avoided the topic, since they felt like pitying him for having suffered under his monster of a brother's genjutsu, witnessing the crime that Itachi did, repeatedly. This was the first time he was asked, other than the TI department at that time, and the very thought of it, Sasuke hated it. Naruto resisted a quiver at the sudden negative emotions, and he was carrying on asking because he was confident that the cells separating them proved protection. He wanted to measure his strength. Sasuke snarled, barely above hearing. He wasn't looking at Naruto. In fact, his thoughts were somewhere else as he wanted to test his Sharingan. He added. Naruto heard a snarl inside him. Kurama growled at the mention of the Dijitsu. I tell you. Those Uchiha are evil. They're monsters that emerged from hell. Naruto mentally rolled his eyes at the statement. You're exaggerating. The Kyuubi roared at him, and was about to remark when Naruto decided to shut their connection. Looking back at his teammate, Naruto cautiously chose his words next. How did you know? And even though he tried being careful, the sudden snap of his head and the cold dark eyes staring at his own azure sense shivered down his spine. As he had thought earlier, this is suicide. Naruto might not be a psychiatrist. He knew common sense, even though he usually doesn't act one. Asking someone with an unstable mind about the very cost of the psychological problem is not very much advisable. Then again, his faith lies on the cells separating them and the seal that was keeping their chakra for the Uchiha to activate his Sharingan and put the blonde under a genjutsu, which Naruto very much abhorred. Why do you care? Naruto was kicked out of his thought when he heard the above whisper question coming from the raven. Huh? I said, why do you care? The young Uchiha snapped. He pounded his head on the bars. Both his voice and the clang emitting from the impact echoed loudly around the silent prison hall. Naruto jumped at the sound. Well, he's very mad and it's too late to back down now, he thought. Then worry if the raven wasn't hurting very much. Not everyone had a tenant that will heal you. Of course, Naruto didn't express his concern. It's enough that he had touched a sensitive topic. He'll not risk in ruining the Uchiha's pride. Curious was the only thing that Naruto said. What else could he say? He'd already fueled up Sasuke, and as much as he hated the raven for being high and mighty, his no monster to damage more of his mind, although he did continue on asking about the massacre. Well, he's known as an idiot, and it'd be surprising if he isn't one. Sasuke didn't answer. He gave Naruto a hiss before he moved back in the corner, deeper in his cell where the shadows cover his form. Naruto took as his cue that he'd went too far and let the raven be. Naruto himself heaved out a sigh and lay on his back, staring at the ceiling of his cell. Silence engulfed them. Not a sound heard other than the occasional banging outside of the prison hall, and the steady breathing from the two prisoners. So, what's the plan? Kurama's voice echoed in Naruto's head, making the blonde jerk. Hey! Didn't I shut you out? A growl was heard, before Naruto found himself in front of his tenant's seal. Insolent fool! You think you can silence me? The Kyuubi no Kitsune! He snarled at Naruto. Stop being high and mighty, will you? You remind me of Sasuke. A sudden loud clang echoed around his mindscape. Kurama's sharp claw inches away from Naruto. Do not compare me with that devil spawn, if you stop acting as one. Naruto remarked, and the two glared at each other for a moment, before Naruto sighed out and walked inside Kurama's cell and lay on the giant fox's head as said fox merely let him. Did I go too far? He asked him, referring to his interrogation earlier, now feeling guilty for opening the topic to Sasuke. Kurama hummed, closing his eyes, feeling the blonde on top of his head before opening them again. You're a curious little shrimp and he's an Uchiha, and Uchiha are pride sensitive. What else can you do? Sighed. Why don't you look at it on your own perspective? What will you feel? I'd be a mess, Naruto said in understanding. He'd already thought about it earlier and seeing Sasuke's condition, his beyond a mess. But the Kyuubi started. Naruto laughed. But I'd slowly recover from it and move on with my life. Kurama smirked, while Naruto just chuckled. They knew each other too well. The blonde wondered when did they became this so close when at the beginning Naruto was cowering away from the hateful eyes of the Kyuubi. Now go back out there and start planning your escape. As much as I want to help bust the seal resisting your chakra, it wouldn't help you with your social standing towards the damn Uchiha. He spat the last name. Naruto chuckled one last time. He was glad that Kurama was showing concern about how the people treated him, before a thought came to him. That's right. Why can I talk to you when my chakra's being sealed? It's because I'm powerful and the seal's weak. Even you can bust it out of your own with that sealing knowledge of yours. Now go! The Uchiha's saying something, and with that Naruto was back in reality. Told me. Naruto blinked as he heard the words from his teammate. Turning his head across he saw the raven curled formed, his knees to his chin, his eyes lowered and his mouth moving as words uttered from them. He told me, he showed me. Naruto at first wondered what he was muttering about when he realized that Sasuke was answering his question earlier. This is such a big step. Does that mean his opening to him? They aren't the best of friends to begin with. But then again, if Naruto thought about it, he was the one taunting out the raven occasionally just to let him out of his brooding, out of his thoughts. But if that was the case, Naruto will help him. He'll help him from his suffering. Then a thought crossed his mind. Itachi told him and showed him how he killed them? He can understand the former, but the latter? Maybe under a genjutsu? They are Uchiha. You knew, Kurama offered. Naruto shivered at the mention of genjutsu. He really need to learn to disrupt genjutsu if he's to frightened by just the mention of it. Nah, Sasuke, what was your brother like? Naruto noticed him heave out. He slowed his breathing, trying to relax. He was calm and collective. He showed me kindness, taught me how to be observant. When I feel father was disappointed in me, he was there to comfort me, and he was also smart and a prodigy. Father favored him the most. But he was a hypocrite. He was faking his kindness towards me. He was the one who killed Sasuke, and when he knew that my father liked him the most, he knew he had him wrapped around his hands. Sasuke didn't understand why he was telling the blonde about Itachi, a man that he solely despised. Heck, he was even confused why he was telling the blonde these. Sasuke was conservative, he never wanted to socialize, and he wanted to focus more on his training, to get stronger to kill Itachi. And yet, this mysterious idiot was asking him about the very event that he strongly wanted to forget, and what's worse is that his answering him. He had promised himself that he didn't need any help, he didn't need to associate with somebody because it only hindered his growth to be strong, and yet, Naruto broke those. From the very beginning of their academy, Naruto was there competing him, he was there being Sasuke's punching bag, even when they graduated and became teammates. He was there taunting and talking to him. He felt at ease, he felt relaxed when he was arguing or fighting with Naruto. At first he thought he'd gotten softer, and soft means being weak, and tried to ignore the blonde away. He thought he was slowing him down. But when the mission on Wave happened, the mission where he and Naruto saved Kakashi from an A-rank rogue, he was strong. No. They were strong. And then the time when they both were trapped in Haku's ice dome, with teamwork, Sasuke activated his Sharingan, and even went too far as saving the idiot from descendants. Would he understand him? Who are you, Uzumaki Naruto? Is what he wanted to ask, yet he can't bring himself to. And do you believe that he was what he is? Sasuke was snapped from his musing when Naruto asked the question. A question that was somehow bothering. What does him mean he believed he was what he is? Itachi killed their father. Their clan. Their own flesh and blood. He was a monster. Of course he is. He yells, anger was slipping in him. But Naruto this time didn't flinch. He was steadily staring his azure to his own dark onyx ones. Are you sure? What was Naruto trying to get here? He told him what Itachi is, what monster Itachi is. Why was he asking him this question? Why are you asking me this? Are you trying to prove something? Are you trying to say that I don't know my brother? His patience with him is slipping away, just when he thought that Naruto would understand his feelings. What if there was some reason why he did it? Sasuke stared after the blonde uttered those words. Reason? He was measuring himself. He'd mentioned it to the blonde before. I told you he was Mies. Masks aren't the only ways to cover yourself. Sasuke glared at him. It was a metaphor. Are trying to defend Itachi? Sasuke said it a venomous way, though the blonde still flinched or jerked. Think clearly, Sasuke. It was Sasuke that cut him this time. He was mad. No, he was furious. You don't understand. You aren't the one who had lost almost all of your family. Naruto didn't speak this time. That's right, the raven smirk. A thought crossed his mind, making Naruto uncomfortable. Because you were abandoned. Your family abandoned you and you're just trying to deny it, he taunted Naruto. No, I know they didn't. Yes, they did. I haven't heard any other Uzumaki other than you. In fact, Uzumaki aren't mostly mentioned anymore, and it's because they don't want you. You're an abomination. I know they didn't because I know them, Naruto stated, almost a yell, making Sasuke stop. I know them, because I grew up with them, and since I knew them, I know they didn't abandon me. The same goes for you, Sasuke. You know your brother, you grow up with him, and you understand him the most. You're smart, Sasuke. Think outside the box. He stared right at Sasuke's eyes. He was telling him to think clearly. Words are other ways of lies. Sasuke. I know Itachi. They're already trying to plan a revolt. Sasuke heard Sasuke's voice, barely a whisper. Said youngest was walking his way back to his room from the bathroom in the middle of the night. Sleep clouded his mind. What are we going to do? That was Itachi, Sasuke thought. What were they talking about in this time of hour? They were in his brother's room. Nothing, for now. I'll do my best to talk the elder. Sasuke, what are you doing awake in this hour? Itachi opened his door to find Sasuke yawning while rubbing his eyes. I took a leak, he said, barely awake. Itachi sighed and left his brother into his arms as he carried Sasuke back to his room. Nanizen? Sasuke's childish voice rang around their house. It was one of these rare times where Itachi and him were left alone as their parents were visiting some relatives. Yes? The elder said, currently stirring a pot of soup, preparing for their dinner. Sasuke was seating by the table, both arms propped on the table while both hands are supporting his head. He was observing his brother work. If you have to choose between the village and the clan, what will it be? Sasuke suddenly noticed his brother stiffening upon the question, although immediately dismissing it as his brother resumed what he was doing. You know, the clan is one of the foundation of being a village, and as foundation, we need to keep our village safe so we can protect our clans, or rather everyone living within the village. Come and arrest me. You are accusing me of killing Sasuke, didn't you? His brother's voice was heard from the front of their house. Excited Sasuke was about to run out of their house when he noticed that Itachi was not alone. They were three others. Yeah, we do, you punk. The one with longer hair said, although all three were facing their backs at Itachi. Listen, Itachi, if you ever betray the clan, you'll pay it big time. The sentence was unfinished. The three men were launched out of their home. Itachi had attached them. Sasuke flinched at the impact, the words he heard earlier from his brother. The three older Uchiha were pointing his brother for the death of Sasuke whilst Itachi was still mourning for his best friend. Sasuke didn't get it, but he wanted to know more, so the ever-curious one he slowly moved to their door. Standing before them, Itachi's head was down. The clan, he muttered in sarcasm. You overestimated your own abilities, and have no ideas the depths of my own. That's why you're groveling right now, he said with confidence, his eyes forming into his three-tomo Sharingan. Sasuke shivered at the voice that his brother was emitting. It was full of hatred and disgust as he said those words to the down three Uchiha. Stop it, Itachi! Sasuke turned to his father, his voice laced with command. He was standing meters away from the scene and it looks like he just came from the office. He also noticed Itachi slightly turning his focus at him. What's going on? Just Fugaku's question was left unfinished when a kunai suddenly flew to the wall surrounding the compound, right on their clan symbol. Fugaku turned to the kunai before shifting his eyes back to Itachi, who was now facing him. There is no hope for this pathetic clan, Itachi said barely above whisper, but Fugaku caught it, and so did Sasuke. Finding the situation going south, Sasuke, step out, brother, stop. Before Fugaku could utter out a remark, after the exclamation, not moments after, Itachi kneeled and bowed down in front of his father, and the three now standing Uchiha that had attacked earlier. What was going? Why was his brother saying that? Sasuke's musing stopped when his brother's head shifted to his direction, and suddenly, and for a moment, his three tomo eyes transformed into dark three edges like shuriken. Sasuke watched as his parents walked out of their house. It was Saturday evening and as usual they were going to a clan meeting. Sasuke wonders what it was about. It was slowly starting to get longer and longer as the Saturdays prolonged. Shaking his head, Sasuke walked around his house until he passes by his brother's room. He missed his brother. Ever since his promotion as ANBU captain, he'd come home lesser times. There were no longer a time where he could spend it with Sasuke. Well, it couldn't be helped. His brother was a shinobi and shinobi protects the village. They don't focus one single individual such as himself. With that resolve, Sasuke proceeded to walk to his room. Arriving at his room, Sasuke heard people walk by his house. They were going to the shrine where the meeting was held. They really are trying to have a coup d'etat. I really wish that it won't happen. I don't want my children to suffer such early bloodshed. One woman's voice was heard from Sasuke's window. But still, it's the village fault for driving us into a corner. Another voice retorted angrily. It was the woman's companion. Coup d'etat? Sasuke dismissed the thought as another gossip, and closed the window in his room. He didn't know what grave information he had heard. Sasuke bit his lower lip, memories flashed through him. He focused and thought clearly what was going on, and tried to move his anger aside even for just a little bit. It was there, small pieces of information resurfacing as he heeds what Naruto was telling him. Could it be? Was there really a reason behind his deed? If so, then why? Why did he do it? Sasuke was now questioning himself, his goal. He was now wondering why he hadn't noticed the evidence before. The stress his brother was having after the death of Sasuke and worsens when the Saturday meetings prolong. And as far as Sasuke knows, Itachi didn't attend to any of those, not once. Naruto was right, Sasuke was smart. He exceeds their class, he was rookie of the year, and yet he was blinded by hatred and his goal. He even realized the looks his mother was giving him sometimes when she thought she wasn't watching him. It was full of concern and guilt, and Sasuke knew that his mother was aware of the secret behind the massacre, and Sasuke plans to know what it is. Naruto watched the Uchiha's eyes slowly drawn out from reality. He knew Sasuke was heeding his words. He had long figured out what was Itachi's motive, and if the rumors he heard from the ANBU that were still watching him after Gigi had dismissed his ANBU sitter back when he started to attend the academy, especially when that one time he snuck into ANBU HQ for a prank, were true, then Itachi had just fueled out a supposedly civil war. And seems that Sasuke had figured it out too. Well, mostly likely, he could tell from the various shifts of his emotions. Before it ended with a desire feel and the raven snapped out of his musing and glanced at him. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're right. I'm the one who knew my brother the most, and I should be the one to understand him the most, he said, agreeing to the statement the blonde had said earlier. Sasuke suddenly looked ashamed to himself. I'm sorry, he mumbled, though Naruto heard him. He tilted his head wondering why he was apologizing. As if reading the blonde's mind, Sasuke opened his mouth. I'm sorry for bad-mouthing your clan, about them abandoning you. Of course, Naruto gaped at him. It isn't always you hear the Uchiha apologized, especially to him. Heck, Naruto hadn't heard Sasuke apologized even once. Were his words really that of wisdom to instantly change the Uchiha? I mean, it did work on both Konohamaru and Inari. Dismissing the thought away, Naruto collected himself and his gaping mouth and give the raven a bright beaming grin. I'll accept it for a month worth of ramen, he exclaimed. Sasuke gave him a deadpan, as did Naruto. The two stared at each other for a whole minute before Sasuke heaved out a sigh. Defeated a week, the raven tried to persuade. Naruto though twisted his face for a moment thinking, before nodding in agreement. Deal. Man, I can't wait till we return to Konoha, he excitedly muttered to himself. That is if we can return to Konoha, Sasuke stated as he heard what Naruto had said under his breath, gesturing to their current situation. He had faith that their sensei can find them, given time he could, but as what their kidnappers had declared earlier, they were sacrifices. Sasuke don't know for what, but one thing he knows, and it involved their lives. "Oh, don't worry about it," he said in reassurance, although in their current situation Sasuke had to raise an eyebrow, and why would I not? Naruto didn't answer him as the blonde stuck his tongue out in concentration. He was trying to do something on his back, more precisely on his hands. "If I can just get my hands free, I'll be able to deactivate the suppressor seals on us." "You can do that?" Sasuke asked, flabbergasted. Naruto nodded his head. "Yup. Now if only I have something to cut this ropes." Naruto tried looking around his surrounding once he found out that his holster and other hidden equipment were taken. Of course they were. Who thinks of leaving their prisoners with their weapons? He was trying to find some sharp edges to cut his rope. Of course there was none. Their surrounding was concrete walls. Finding no other choice, Naruto had only one option. "Kurama, pump a bit of your chakra just to boost mine a bit," he requested. Since his own chakra was sealed, not Kurama's, of course it wouldn't break the seal, but that was not Naruto's intention. He only needed seconds push of chakra to perform something before it would be sealed away with the rest of his chakra again. Nodding, the fox gave him a small bump of his red chakra. He wasn't mixing it to Naruto's blue, and he was pushing the blue with his red out of Naruto's body. Finally feeling his chakra, Naruto, with his hands tied to his back, was barely able to perform hand seals before he called out the jutsu. Fuin Kai. Suddenly, a red swirling circle, similar to the symbol back at the bridge at wave, appeared but smaller, and minus the sealing array on the ground. Sasuke observed the blonde with calculating eyes. He watched him struggle, trying to cut the binds behind him, and watched him try to find something. He was wondering what Naruto was going to do when suddenly he closed his eyes, moments later opened them. There were movements behind him and call out a technique of some sort, and suddenly lights appear. Sasuke came to realize that Naruto had performed hand seals, and whatever that jutsu was, Sasuke noted to ask later as their situation was there, clearly was a handful, because Naruto was able to cut his bindings and was now holding a tanto. Closing his eyes again, he asked the Kyuubi to bump another chakra, but a little larger this time, and once he had it, Naruto performed a rather longer sealing hands, which shocked Sasuke for the blonde to know more than one hand seals, and placed his hand on his chest. Fuin jutsu, string binding Kai. Arrays of incoherent characters appears crossing his body. It was the seal binding them, Sasuke had deduced. Slowly the characters were disappearing and ended completely gone. There chimed the blonde. Moving to the metal bars, Naruto unlocked the cell with his weapon using the sharp and slimiest tip of his weapon through the keyhole. Once unlocked, he quickly did the same procedure to Sasuke's. He unsealed first the chakra suppressor before untying him. He wanted the raven to adjust to the sudden surge of his own returning chakra first. Once Sasuke's hands were free and already used to the feeling of his chakra returned, the two immediately stood. "I don't know how you can use chakra when it was sealed away, or how you know what the suppressor seal was, but I'll ask you later once we get out of here." "Geez, a simple thank you would be enough, Sasuke." Sasuke ignored him, as the raven activated his Sharingan and scouted their surroundings. Huffing, Naruto offered Sasuke his tanto. "What's this?" "Just take it." Naruto pushed the weapon. Taking it from the blonde, Sasuke tried swinging it for a few times before turning back to Naruto. "What about you?" The question was left unfinished when Naruto suddenly performed a various hand seals, but there was something different with his seals. They were not the 12 hand seals taught at the academy. After completing the hand seals, the same red symbol appeared and another tanto emerged from the symbol wall. "I have 2 tanto kept personally to myself, and before you asked." "No, I'm a beginner," informed the blonde, referring to his skills in kenjutsu, giving the raven a grin, who just shrugged. Closing his mouth, Sasuke clicked his tongue, scratched the question about the tanto. "I want to know what those hand seals later. They're different from the ones I knew." Naruto agreed. Quickly the two nodded their heads and moved to the only door available in the dungeon. Sasuke was the one who picked the lock this time, and once it clicked, said Raven slowly opened the door and stuck his head out. Moving his head from left to right, Sasuke gave Naruto the clear and both stalked out of the place. They were in a corridor, gray concrete walls and black doors, and the walls were empty, except for the lights providing visual. "What now?" Naruto questioned. "We need to find our hustlers first." "How?" "There are so many rooms here." Naruto threw his hands up, exclaiming. Sasuke instantly slapped his hand to Naruto's mouth. Startling, said Blonde, "Shut it, you idiot. Do you want to be found?" hissed the Raven, near Naruto's ear. Shaking his head, Sasuke waited a few moments, making sure he made himself clear to the blonde. When he did, he removed the hand covering Naruto. Now Sasuke turned to the nearest door. He moved to the left side of the doorframe. Understanding what Sasuke was doing, Naruto nodded to himself before he moved to the other side of the doorframe, opposite to Sasuke. Locking eyes, Naruto and Sasuke hold their tanto ready. Sasuke gave Naruto a single nod. It was the signal. Sasuke immediately swung the door open and both jumped inside the room. They luckily found the weaponry storage and trouble as well. There were 2 guards or bandits upon noticing their attires. One was a large-built man. His head was shaved, wearing a rugged dark brown blazer and shorts. Naruto didn't know whether the shorts were white or brownish, because by the looks of it, it seems as the clothes haven't been washed for ages. The other man was thin or more like skin-boned, hair in a mohawk like his partner. He too was wearing a sleeveless blazer, although his were black and had baggy gray pants. "Hey! What are you both ninjas?" Didn't waste any time jumping towards them. Sasuke dashed his way to the larger-built one, who quickly noticed his approach and ran towards him as well. with good practice. The Raven made a full stop and quickly made a flip above the bandit, who couldn't stop his momentum, giving Sasuke full view of the back of his head. Holding the weapon handle first, he jabbed it to the base of his opponent's neck, knocking him out. Naruto on the other hand threw his tanto to his enemy who dodged it easily as that all you got. Naruto's fist instantly collided with his face, teeth flying out from his mouth, making him unconscious. Well, that was easier than I thought. Naruto picked up his tanto. Sasuke was already searching their hustler on the many boxes here. The Raven throws the small leather to Naruto upon finding them, and quickly placed them behind. Sasuke then gave back the tanto to Naruto. Nodding to each other they turned to exit the room when suddenly, they were taking long, was the thought that had been running through Sakura's head. It had been 3 hours since Naruto and Sasuke went out in search for food and Sakura's stomach had been rumbling louder and louder. Those two are so dead. She hissed, it doesn't matter if Sasuke was included, she's hungry. And no one wants to face a hungry girl, crush or not. Sakura thought that maybe the two were currently fighting it all out, knowing that Sasuke really needed to blow some steams off from being confined far longer now and Naruto. Let's just say they weren't meant to be left alone together. And now she's regretting why she let them go together. She was pacing around their accommodation now, planning ways of killing her two teammates. Wait, make it 3 since Kakashi-sensei hasn't returned yet either. The sudden slam of the door snapped Sakura's head towards the direction. Speaking of the devils or speaking one of the devils. Kakashi was panting at the doorway. He was drenched down to his bones. His face or eyes showed genuine panic, and he usually doesn't show emotions other than that usual eye smile of his. You're late. Sakura snapped. She was about to berate him when she noticed that the silver jounin was not alone. Sada-san? She cocked her head to him. Like Kakashi, he was also soaking wet, and was also panting, very hard. Can't be helped because it seems like both ran their way here and one of them is a ninja. Kakashi scanned the room and only found his female genin where are Naruto and Sasuke. Kakashi demanded. Sakura jumped at the voice. It was the tone used when he was serious or facing dangerous enemies. Added the fact that he was showing genuine emotions. That means there probably is a serious trouble. Finding her voice, Sakura opened her mouth to reply. They went out to find something to eat. How long was that? He interjected her. And more than 2.5 hours now. This can't be good. Sensei, what's going on? Kakashi looked at her. Get ready. We need to find them now, he ordered. Finding no protest, Sakura quickly grabbed her hustler and wear her sandals. Once she was ready, she turned to her sensei who was now discussing things with Sada once his breathing rhythm were back. I'm ready. Kakashi gave her a nod and turned towards the door. And where do you think you're going? Before anyone could react, the three went crushing to the ground. Standing before them were two individuals. One appeared to be a monk, his arm outward, his open palm glowing. Wow! Fuinjutsu really is convenient. How the other man whistled. He had short, silver, undercut hair. He crouched down above Kakashi. You even can easily defeat the Kakashi of the Sharingan. He yanked Kakashi's head upward. Hayato, didn't I told you not to get too violent? The monk scolded. Kakashi couldn't retort nor can he speak. His consciousness was losing and he bet both Sakura and Satu were already out. Whatever that seal the monk used was really powerful. The last thing Kakashi saw was this Hayato guy giving him a creepy smile. Chapter 6. Escaped. 5-year-old Naruto was currently lounging himself on the side of the compound. He was wearing a blue Hiyori, a large red swirl on the back with white vertical 2 stripes on each long open sleeves. His obi was of the same color as the stripes and partnered by a dark blue pants that reached below his knees. A scowl plastered on his face when his gaze landed on the two sparring red-headed men. You look troubled, a raspy old voice said. Naruto immediately snapped his neck to the source, an action which wondered the newcomer if maybe the boy could have broken his neck with such force. Granddad! Naruto shrilled, jumping his way to the open arms of his grandfather. Said grandfather was wearing a gray kimono with a black sash. Like Naruto's, he too had the Uzumaki red swirl on him. His long white with old age hair hang loose and he had a beard that reached his upper abdomen. He chuckled when the flash of yellow landed in his arms. Dynamic as always, the aged man stated, making the blonde grin widely. He gestured for his grandson to seat back as he himself sat next to Naruto. Now tell me what has been bothering you? He asked, remembering the look the boy had earlier. The old man looked at the still ongoing sparring. An annoying look crossed his face on what Naruto was vexed on about. I just don't get it. Why do some of our clansmen practice kenjutsu or even taijutsu when fuinjutsu is already awesome? He asked and exasperated, making his grandfather chortle. Tell me, Naruchan, how many sealing seals you know? The boy thought for a moment before his face twisted. There too many. He waved his arms around. And why is that? 'Cause I learned them. Sides they'd be of use when I become a ninja one day and I won't lose to any bad guys since I know a lot of sealing. Naruto exclaimed, jabbing a thumb on his chest. His grandfather laughed at the antics before he turned his gaze back to the now ending spar. Exactly. It's because when you learn more you are limitless to use technique on the battlefield. He then landed his gaze back at Naruto. Do you understand? As so they practice because if they can't use sealing they can still fight with kenjutsu and taijutsu. He summarized with a now assimilated look. Yes, in a simpler way, but he dramatically paused. Naruto cocked his head at him. They can also enhance their fuinjutsu through kenjutsu and taijutsu. Can you give me an example? Naruto's eyes closed, and his lower lip out thinking something. Moments later his eyes flatter open, excitement written on his face. I know. Daddy's Hiraishin no Jutsu. He used Fuinjutsu on his kunai to teleport or something. Very good Naruto-chan. He praised the boy who beamed back at him, your father, before his demise, was famous using said technique. A combination of a handheld weapon and Fuinjutsu, but your father wasn't the only one who used such combination. He isn't? No, the old man said there are others who likely used handheld weapons in application of seals. Most of them are our own clansmen. Naruto slowly nodded his head in understanding. The first thing Kakashi felt when his consciousness returned was the sensation of his body. First, he was face down, so his head was sideways for who knows how long and his neck was sore, and second, there were no other discomforting feelings around on any parts of his body, meaning he wasn't harmed in any physical way, and he can only hope that Sakura and Satu were also too. No, his body felt hefty and he knew why. Someone was currently seating on his back and Kakashi could only guess that it was one of the capturers. He mentally clicked his tongue. As much as his hunched were always right, there are tendencies where he usually bypass them and carry on doing what the main tasks are at hand. This commonly ended up bad. The first was when he was assigned on a mission during the Third Ninja War. He had a nagging feeling in him where he knew one of his precious people were in danger, and once he had returned, he found out that Rin was kidnapped and later was killed by his own hands, because he was too late in stopping the Kiri shinobi from making Rin the Jinchuriki of Sanbai. Second was the night Naruto was born. He had his hunched where he wanted to be with Kushina-san at that time, but he was border patrol duty and it ended up him losing his step-parents. And third was when the mission to Wave, there was warnings at that time and yet, he'd allowed his kids to make the decision which almost got them for good. Luckily though, Naruto and Sasuke's sudden collaboration saved Kakashi from his death. It was the first time that no one had died. Even Zabuza and Haku are still living. Although Kakashi had faith in his students, and the encounter back at Wave was a blessed miracle, Kakashi had promised himself to never experience that same ignorance again. He had lost everyone in his life and now that he had new precious people to protect, he wanted to change his misfortunate life and yet, he was too late to decide again and endangered his kids once more. "You brought my brother!" shouted a familiar voice, concern and riled laced his tone. Kakashi had snapped from his musing, although he tried to grasp the familiarity of the voice. "It was Suta." "Calm down boss, not that he'll remember anything." Side Shinobu here made it sure that he won't the man atop, Kakashi said, and by his movement, Kakashi assumed that he was pointing at this Shinobu. Kakashi recognized the voice as the one with the creepy smile, and this Shinobu guy must be the monk. Well, looks like Suta still is human. Kakashi mentally sighed out, relief that Satu was out of harm's way. "And the girl?" Suta asked. "The hired bandits are on her tail," another voice joined. Shinobu. "Wait, what? Told you should have used the same dose as this guy," Hayato accused the monk. "They're the copy ninjas students." He patted Kakashi's head just to make a point. "Ah, that's how," and here Kakashi thought that Sakura had done something to fight the monk's jutsu. Well, can't be helped. Who in their right mind would allow their guards down around Kakashi? He is one of the elite jounin of Konoha for something. It is only right for them to focus more on the copy nin, which of course was a good distraction for Sakura to flee, unplanned that is. Now he knew that they're shinobi, and it looks like they have yet to acknowledge he was already conscious. Kakashi tried to resist the jubilant feeling in his chest from rising when Hayato mentioned the copy nin's pride and joy, his students, particularly Sakura. Truth be told, she was the weakest of Team 7, managing to escape during a dare and dangerous situation is such a feat for his kunoichi. Guess now she's using her intelligence in use, an improvement, and Kakashi now understand the sensation Irika felt teaching children. Hard as it might be, but the reward's a satisfying triumphant. Kakashi could only hope that the girl can safely escape from her hunters and pray to the many gods up there that wherever his two boys are, they are somewhere safe, and if they're not, he hoped that they are together. Naruto and Sasuke might be polar opposites, but their team dynamics are not to be underestimated. "By the way boss, this is the first time we've captured Konoha nins," Hayato shifted above Kakashi, "and the first to have come this close on exposing us." Suta snapped. He slammed a fist on the wall. "Geez, calm down boss. We caught him on time." Hayato trying to calm him. Suta growled at him. Before he could retort back, Shinobu spoke. "He's right. Besides, we are almost done feeding enough chakra to awaken him on, and sooner or later we can unseal him. And if my suspicion's correct, that blonde teen's a Jinchuriki." Shinobu said, an alarm sound off from Kakashi's head. There goes his hope. "Wait, what? That loud brat." "Yup, definitely Naruto," Kakashi thought. And I can only assume the Kyuubi's the one sealed in him since Konoha's the only village to have hold the beast." "What are you talking about? What's this Jinchuriki?" Suta inquired, confused. "Basically, they are human sacrifice. Sealed with them are one of the 9 bijas," Shinobu answered him. "And?" Hayato dramatically paused. "Bijas are demons, made purely of chakra. That means if we are going to collect his chakra, which of course we will, then our work will be finished sooner rather than later," he said merrily like a kid. And before Kakashi then felt another shift from above him, and the next thing he knew, hot breath was next to his ear. "Ain't that right, Hataki Kakashi?" Sakura was tired. Scratch that, she was exhausted. She'd been running, hiding and fighting off her pursuers an hour now, and it was all thanks to Kakashi's training that she lasted this long. Kai! Loud explosions were heard behind her. She released another trap, though that didn't stop her from running. In fact, it only made her go faster. Even if her legs wanted to give up, even if her lungs were out of rhythm, she didn't stop. Sakura only had one goal, and that's to find her boys. From the moment she woke up dangling on the shoulder of one of their captor, her mind quickly assisted the situation once she had processed her thoughts, and immediately broke free from her captor. She had performed kawarimi and ran, leaves bunshin, ran some more, kawarimi and ran again. She repeated the 2 academy techniques just to gain some distance. She was also mentally praising herself for enduring Kakashi-sensei's training for the increase of her chakra reserves. It enabled her to perform the techniques continuously over and over again. Once she was certain that her pursuers were a good distance away from her, that's when she tried to look for a place to hide and process things. Although panic, she forced herself to relax and think thoroughly, and that's when she noticed her surroundings. She was in a forest. More specifically the forest near Suta's mansion. Sakura recognized the landscape from one of the windows of Suta's back when they returned the missing weapon. She also noted that the men that had captured them were going to said mansion's direction. Remembering that she had left Kakashi-sensei back, her thoughts immediately went to Naruto and Sasuke. As much as she loved to think that she had become stronger compared to when she and her team had their last C-rank mission, she knew that she couldn't rescue him on her own. Heck, judging from the technique that those 2 shinobi used before they were subdued, it was powerful and is way out of her league, especially the monk, who, Sakura deducted, is a Fuin master. And she knew very well and from experience, or rather from observation, that with one genin it'll be impossible, but with Naruto and Sasuke, and even if she was just providing backup, she knew that there's a 50% chance in rescuing Kakashi. The only problem was, where are they? Sakura could only presume that they too were captured somehow and somewhere. The fact that they didn't return back to their accommodation, especially when Naruto of all people wouldn't forget her about her. Yes, she knew Sasuke doesn't want to be around her alone. She needed to find them and fast, especially when she started to hear noises moving closer to her direction. With a plan in mind, she ignored the strong gust of wind and the cold rain in her body. Heavy cascading waters blinded her view. For a moment she had this peculiar feeling about the storm, but quickly pushed it to the back of her head, discarding it as a minor problem, a Mother Nature's natural happenings. What's more important is she find both boys sooner rather than later. That was an hour ago. Throwing another explosive tag kunai towards the tree trunks that she passed, she activated another explosion. She then sighted the road to Suta's mansion. With her remaining strength she leapt one more time and landed on the ground, below a high cliff. Suddenly the muddy ground she was now crouching at from excessive exhaustion gave out from the softening of the soil from the constant raining. She deducted that there might be a cave or some sort of tunnel below where she was standing when she suddenly fell along with it. With the rain still pouring hard and the earth still moving down above her, Sakura quickly moved aside before she could be buried by earth that happened to have completely caved in, which of course Sakura was thankful of. She had completely escaped the bandits. That was close, she sighed out, relief wash over her face. Sakura? Wait, Sasuke. Naruto's sudden outburst completely halted Sasuke in mid-step. What? Snapped the Raven, turning his neck back to Naruto's. Said Blonde ignored him, making Sasuke growl. Naruto's head was pointing to the right hallway. His brows knitted in confusion. There's a large amount of chakra emitting over there, the blonde muttered, pointing to where he was looking at. Sasuke gave him a funny look. And you know this because? Sasuke queried. Naruto gave him a look, before the blonde remembered that Sasuke didn't know he was a censor. No, only Kakashi was knowledgeable about this ability of his within their team. Try spreading your chakra. But don't burst it out, Naruto offered. Sasuke raised a brow but followed. Closing his eyes, Sasuke did what Naruto said, and as the blonde had informed, there really was a large quantity of chakra discharging from where Naruto had pointed. Opening his eyes, Sasuke gave Naruto a skeptical look. I didn't know you were a censor? The blonde waved him off. Got a lot of chakra. If not jutsu, then sensory. Might as well use them properly, he said in a matter of fact. Sasuke shook his head. He was about to ask where he learned to do so and about the large chakra, but thought better of it, and added them to the piling questions that Naruto agreed to answer later. Let's go and see, suggested the Raven. Naruto nodded and the two followed the emitting chakra. As they moved, the context around them changed when both Naruto and Sasuke made a sharp turn to a left. Instead of the concrete corridor, the walls are now rocky and earthy. It's as if they were entering a cave and there were a lot of crossways. The ninja didn't slow. Using what Naruto had taught him earlier, Sasuke moved cautiously. It was a useful and helpful skill that Sasuke pondered why he hadn't thought of learning about it earlier in life, especially in their current situation where they were in an unfamiliar place, and where enemies are lurking anywhere and everywhere. As such, the two were avoiding every individual presence that they could sense. Sasuke believed that they were guards and they doubt they'll be easier to fight off like the two bandits they fought earlier, and both were not stupid, or in Naruto's case, stupid enough to try and find out. Countless of turning and evading later, the two stopped to a corner. Naruto stuck his head out surveying. That's where the large chakras are coming from. The blonde gesture for Sasuke to do the same. Yeah, and it seemed to be well guarded. 4 men were standing in front of a large metallic double door, and judging from his now activated Sharingan, it was where the chakra are emitting from. Moving his eyes back to the 4 men, they were well built, and were wearing black garb. Sasuke noticed that their chakras coils are active. They're shinobi, he informed. Are they strong? Positive. Chakras are almost at par as the average chunin back at Konoha. Naruto knitted his brows, digesting the information. Something suddenly caught the corner of his sight. Tapping Sasuke's shoulder, the Uzumaki pointed him to a vent just above them. Nodding to Naruto, Sasuke, borrowing Naruto's tanto, very silently wedged the screws and opened the cover of the vent. Once open, the two ninjas climbed into the ventilator. The two crawled silently above the tubes that passed through the metal double doors, and thanks to the teaching of Kakashi, the two are able to conceal their chakra effortlessly. Once they have crossed the doors, both boys heaved out a long breath. Relief washed over their faces, as they were holding their air out of nervousness. "Wow, I'm surprised he lasted this long," a voice was heard below them. The two genin found a gap and peered down. The place was dim. There were 4 large cave-like cells on each side. Incoherent glowing characters spread on each cells, and a big pulsing blue round glass was placed on a large platform north from the cells. Naruto and Sasuke could only assume that it was the large gathered chakra they felt. There were 2 guards placed inside. Like the ones outside, they were also wearing black garbs. One of them was peering over a cell, while the other moved closer to him. "It's expected. Konoha medical needs are unique. They probably separated the yin and yang chakra to slow the extraction enough for any rescue to come," the second man stated. Crossing his arms, both genin looked at each other, eyes wide in shock. It was for sure the missing medical nin. "Hey, what did you do with the boss brother? Heard he doesn't want his chakra to be extracted?" "And here I thought they hated each other," the first one said in a matter of fact. "I lay him next room," he answered, pointing somewhere behind him. "Well, what can you say? Blood's thicker than water. No matter how cold Suda-sama has become, a family always is a family." They were shocked. No. They were stupefied. Masato Suda, the very man that they had been hired days ago, was the one responsible for the abduction of their fellow shinobi. Heck, Suda probably was the one orchestrating the disappearance of the many shinobi in the country. And the reason must be that gathered chakra on the round glass, and not only that, he also had kidnapped Satu. Well, at least he was reluctant in harming his own brother. Naruto was angry. His fist shook with rage. He didn't know why his emotions are boiling, but who in their right mind would do such a thing? And for what purpose? Suda had been killing ninjas that had family waiting for them back home. He should realize the situation they are placed, since he himself was against doing any harm to his own brother. Sasuke tried to calm him down by placing a hand on his shoulder. "It wouldn't be wise to let your emotions cloud you," he hissed. Naruto was about to berate him but thought better of it. He was right. If he let out his rage now, it's either they risk being found and be captured, or lost his rage to Kurama's negative chakra and risk his growing friendship with Sasuke. Whichever of the two, both are bad and both ends up in unpleasant results. Besides, weren't Sasuke the one being clouded with his own emotions earlier? Snapping back, Naruto took steady breathing, trying to shake the rage away. Finding his rhythm, he gave Sasuke a reassuring grin. "Thanks," he whispered. He glanced back down to the gap. "We need to save him, or rather them," he said, finding other prisoners along with the medic nin in the other cells. Sasuke sighted them too and unconsciously bobbed his head. "We need a plan." "Hey!" The 2 guards whipped their heads at the sudden call. "Shinobu-sama! Hayato-sama!" They blurred. Shinobu and Hayato were standing near the closed doors. How'd they get in? "They never know," mused one of the guards. "Verity, they're ninjas, like the guards themselves, not to mention that the 2 are stronger than most of them. A testament on why Shinobu and Hayato are mostly hired for many dangerous missions, like capturing the copy ninja of Konoha, for example. Boss says to guard the 2 brats," Hayato said, pointing a thumb to the direction of where the 2 genin are held. The 2 guards look at each other for a moment, before shrugging their shoulders. "Yes, sir," they comply. The 2 guards made their way to the door. One pulled out a key from his pocket and pushed it to the keyhole next to the large door. He was about to turn it when the 2 high-rank ninjas called them again. And also Shinobu started, making the 2 look back at him, directly to his spinning red eyes. Moments later they fell to the ground. "That was so cool, Databayo!" Hayato exclaimed before he poof out, canceling his henge. Shinobu too dropped his henge, his spinning Sharingan stopping. "Easy," Sasuke smirked arrogantly. He mentally thanked his mother for teaching him some genjutsu with his Sharingan before they left the country. Unbeknownst to the now unconscious, Naruto and Sasuke had insinuated a plan. It was a feat which happened to be impossible or unbelievable outside from their teammates. Heck, the 2 never even thought that they had good tandems with each other, and only thought that they'd got lucky back at Wave when they saved Kakashi. Now Sasuke's starting to believe the phrase "you are stronger when you have help," especially with Naruto. Knowing the fact that Naruto himself is already strong enough to be, as much as his pride's at stake and as much as he doesn't want to admit it, as far as Sasuke. Whether because they are the copy ninja students or both are from strong clans, either way, Sasuke wanted to grow stronger with Team 7, and hopefully strong enough to kill his brother or not too. With the recent snips of strange behavior that Sasuke noticed about his brother before and during the massacre, he wasn't sure what his goal's purpose right now. Shaking the thought aside before he went further into emotional brooding again. "Now let's get them out." Sasuke turned his attention to Naruto, who was already leaning closer to one of the cells where the medic nin was currently in, his face in a deep frown. He was looking at the gibberish characters spread over the mental bars. "What is it, Dobe?" The Raven walked closer to him. He tried to study the characters but to no avail. Naruto didn't answer him. He was silent for a moment. A hand was placed under his chin in deep thought before he snapped his fingers. "It's a ceiling array." Sasuke raised a brow in question, Although Naruto wasn't looking at him, a three-way type seal. To be more specific, he performed a ram sign before he placed his hand on the middle of the covered metal bar. Suddenly the arrays started to move in different direction, before it motioned to where the blonde's hand was. Said hand was now circled by the arrays with the kanjis of chakra, absorb and barrier in between arrays. Removing his hand, the kanji seal was found where he once put his hand on. What did you do? Sasuke was flabbergasted. It was in disorder, so I simplify it, the blonde stated, shrugging his shoulders. I mean, I didn't know it was a sealing array before. What not with how I'm banned from tackling any Fuinjutsu subject. It was hard to identify. Banned? The Uzumaki just waved him off. Sasuke let out a breath, more questions piling up. The Raven could only hope that Naruto answered them truthfully later. So can you do something? The Uchiha was answered by a nodded. We just have to unseal it. How? Reversing the hand seals used to perform the jutsu. Gush Sasuke. And here I thought you were the rookie of the year. Sasuke blushed and growled at him. I didn't know it also apply with Fuinjutsu, idiot. He snapped back, making the blonde laugh. Sorry, just messing with you. The Raven glared at him as he crossed his arms. So? Do you know the hand seals for the jutsu? Somehow Sasuke got the feeling that the blonde knows, and if he was not mistaken, Naruto might have did the same when he unsealed their chakra back at the cells they were held captive. Nodding, Naruto performed yet another various hand seals before placing an open palm to the simplify seal Fuin. Kai. The array suddenly glowed to light before the characters faded and the barrier surrounding the cell dispersed and disappeared. Sasuke immediately unlocked the seal and starts freeing the prisoners. Naruto unsealed the other three cells and used his shadow clones to carry the weak out. We got them out. Now what do we do to the ones guarding outside? Sasuke asked, as he placed the missing Konoha medic Nin on his back. He was unconscious. Sasuke faulted to chakra depletion. We knock them out? One of the blonde's clones suggested, although not smart enough, but it was logical. How? I can only use my Sharingan's genjutsu for at least 2 grown adults. I'm still recovering from earlier. He cursed his luck and his own chakra reserved. True, that he already had a large amount, not as large as Naruto, chakra, but the genjutsu his mother taught him, he demanded, required a lot of chakra. 1, because it was strong, and 2, it serves enough time for the caster to escape, before the affected could disrupt the genjutsu, much as the still cold guards. As I said, we knocked them out, the original Uzumaki stated, also having his own passenger. It was Satu! And he was barely conscious. Wah, I found him over there. Naruto pointed at a door beside the large circle glass. He was under a seal. I think it was a genjutsu seal that alters some parts of his memories. Sasuke just gave him a deadpan look. Naruto made a cross sign and 10 solid clones appeared, each holding a pair of tanto. Sasuke was reluctant, but they had no other choice, with that plan in motion. He gave him a nod before one of the blonde's shadow clones turned the still-placed key. You're a savage. Sasuke stared at the now knockout guards. Naruto just shrugged his shoulder, readjusting Satu. What can I say? I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Yes, and typical Uzumaki Naruto just went wild earlier, surprising and not giving their enemies any chance to counter. Luckily Naruto was smart enough to operate as silently as he can, which of course was to attack the guards by covering their mouths before another clone knocked them out, and finished without any signs of backup coming to assist. Shaking his head, Sasuke looked between right and left, trying to distinguish where to find the exit. To the left, there's a passage that exits near a river where the temple is located. Naruto pointed as if he had read Sasuke's thought. Not finding any arguments, Sasuke complied with a nod. Sasuke and the Narutos with him moved, with one Naruto leading. They were dodging any presence that they could sense, and before long they were near the exit. Naruto suddenly stopped. He created a new clone and passed his passenger to him. This didn't go unnoticed by Sasuke. What are doing? I felt Kakashi-sensei's chakra signature along the way, he answered, and create a clone for Sasuke's passenger. Understandingly Sasuke gave his own to the clone and nodded at Naruto, knowing that said blonde needed his assistance, and knowing Sasuke, he won't allow the blonde to have all the glory. Why not with what happened back at Wave? Sasuke had heard rumors that they named the bridge after the idiot. Nisan sat to groan. A hand was left as if trying to reach someone. Satoji. Naruto, the original, quickly ran to him. Calm down, your memories still trying to rearrange themselves. Now Naruto-kun, Nisan. A tear ran down his face. He choked as emotion flooded him. Naruto could only hold his reach-out hand. We know the blonde cast his eyes down, allowing himself to be sentimental, and showing sympathy at the monk. Even if he was enraged and Kurama's warning voice echo on his head, he knew that Satu and Suda are still brothers, and Naruto could only tell that Sasuke's trying to hold his own anger, knowing both have similar situation amongst family members. Don't hurt him, the monk begged, tightening his hold on Naruto's hand, telling him that he was serious. Reluctant but understanding, Naruto nodded at him. I won't. Go and take care of the others. He gestured for his clones when one of them wedged the lock on the closed door open. Satu didn't let go of his hand. He refused to, but then Naruto gave him a reassuring smile. I promise you, I won't hurt him, and I'll ask him why he was doing these. Sides, I don't go back on my word, Databeo. These somehow gave Satu a little comfort, and loosened his hold on Naruto, as his clone moved out of the cave. Turning back to Sasuke, Naruto found the Raven taking breaths, his eyes closed while he gripped one of his kunai, trying to calm down. Guess the brother thing's still a sore memory for him, can't be helped, it's not just going to up and go, and it takes time to heal painful wounds. Although in Naruto's case, wounds are merely a bite of an ant to him, but that doesn't mean bad memories are easy to move on to. Clamping a hand on the Uchiha's shoulder, Naruto gave him a soothing grin when the Raven opened his eyes and looked at him. Don't let your emotions surpass you. He repeated the same words Sasuke had told him earlier. Sasuke only and nodded before he gave him a smirked team. Giving each other a nod, Naruto closed his eyes in concentration, trying to locate Kakashi's signature. Searching for the familiar chakra that he usually felt back when he was but a new foreigner in the land of fire, the ANBU big brother that he never had and had yet to reveal himself to Naruto. He searched and searched and searched, spreading his chakra wider and wider, until he found him, and surprisingly an unexpected place. Suda's mansion. Found him, he informed Sasuke as he reopened his eyes and turned to him. Sasuke nodded. He himself was trying to search for Kakashi's signature, but to no avail. He couldn't. Statues? Naruto grimaced. Not good, huh? The Uchiha queried. The blonde shook his head. Suda's there along with the insane dude and the bald monk. Clicking his tongue, Sasuke crossed his arms in thought. As much as he wanted to go and just show them the true strength of an Uchiha, he knew better than to barge in without any plan. Especially when they know nothing about the abilities of the two shinobi possessed, which of course no doubt are stronger than the guard station underground and maybe a par with Kakashi. We'll have to think of a plan on the way there. The more time we waste, the sooner the alarm will sound off. The Uchiha suggested, finding no other plan at the current time. Lead the way, he gestured for Naruto, who nodded, and soon the two were moving again. Naruto realized that the whole underground had passages all around the capital village. Both genin had been running, hiding or rerouting to avoid any troubles on the way. They'd been moving passages to passages for almost 20 minutes now. Sasuke had thought that maybe they were lost since Naruto was leading, but his suspicion was thrown away when he voiced it to the blonde and was answered with a horrendous truth. The reason? Naruto figured out by the flow of chakra. There were places, or rather stations, which had devices that deplete the civilian's chakra or life source slowly, and they were usually placed under the commonly crowded places. The village public market, the small park, and some of the country's international departments. The villagers were slowly being killed, and Naruto can't help but doubt his promise with Satu's. Naruto shook the thought away. He can't be thinking things like doubt. He never backed down, especially when he was promised. That was his ninja way, and they better believe it. With a resolved mind, Naruto stepped up his pace, not noticing the earth falling above him and completely burying the blonde. Sasuke, on the other hand, was forming an effective plan on his head. Although he was disturbed by what the Uzumaki had told him, he'd choose to think about it later, as their first priority was to save Kakashi from their enemy, again. When Naruto had increased his speed, Sasuke didn't heed his own, knowing that he doesn't have the same stamina as the blonde, and considered that he needed it later for any fight that they might encounter. Although even if Naruto was slowly gaining some distance from Sasuke, the Raven had full faith that he can still track the blonde with his new sensing ability, so long as he is within his range. And Sasuke could never be thankful of his decision, as if the fate was making fun of the blonde. The earth above him gave way and said blonde was on the right time and on the right place. Naruto was buried alive, and of course, any hint of concern didn't cross Sasuke's mind. What alerted him was that there was something or someone falling along the earth, and this someone had the right sense of awareness compared to his blonde teammate, because they quickly moved aside to avoid the still falling earth, completely shutting the surface from above. Sasuke was wary for a moment. The Raven could tell that the heavy rain from above caused the sudden cave-in, and whether the person is an enemy or not, a ninja still needs to be cautious. But as immediately as he had pulled out a kunai and stand on guard, he immediately recognized the familiar mop of Pinkette. That was close. A familiar voice sighed out of relief. Sakura? True to his word, there was Sakura on all four. Sasuke didn't know what she was doing here or how the Pinkette got here. Her head snapped towards him when the Raven had called out her name. As Sasuke-kun! She exclaimed and tried to stand up but failed, making the Uchiha ran towards her, his face written concern before he immediately masked them away. Sorry, been running for an hour, she informed him. Sasuke wanted to believe that she was exaggerating when he noticed the look on his female teammate. He thought otherwise. Her hair was all over her face as if she had just woken up from a deep sleep, her attire tattered and her sandals filled with mud, and she was also hyperventilating, and if Sasuke could hear it, he bet her heartbeats running loud right now. What happened? He asked. Sakura didn't answer immediately, as she still was catching her breath. Once she was sure that she was steady enough, she turned her head to Sasuke, who was currently crouching next to her seating form. He was allowing her to relax. A feat for the Uchiha, since he was too elite to have let someone like him wait. He usually would have clicked his tongue and ignore her. And now here he was, allowing her to relax. And is that his hand on my back? Sakura noticed something strange on the Raven, although not quite much, but it was there. He seems relaxed compared to when he was brooding, and is that an emotion? Sakura don't know, but she was starting to think that this Sasuke was an imposter, because no way in hell the famous and handsome Uchiha Sasuke shows emotions. She was kicked out of her musing when the mountain earth beside them moved and came out a brunette, look-alike Naruto, taking in a large air. Damn it, Sasuke team. You could have at least offered to dig me out. The brunette, whose whole body was of the same color as his hair, cursed Sasuke. Sakura was about to ask who he was when realization kicked in. Naruto. It wasn't a brunette at all. It was her blonde teammate who was covered in mud. said Blonde, suddenly noticed Sakura's presence. Oh. Sakura-chan. You're here. Oh? Why are you here? His voice was moving from acknowledgement, to happy and to wondering. That was what I was about to ask. The silent raven finally spoke. Of course these reignite Naruto's anger towards him. Why you? That's enough. Sakura broke them apart when Naruto moved out from the earth and was about to grab Sasuke's collar. Kakashi-sensei, Sato-san and I were suddenly kidnapped by a monk and this silver-haired guy. Although I managed to escape when they were on their way to wherever place they were going and left Kakashi-sensei and Sato-san in enemy's hand to search for you guys. Meaning, she wasn't strong enough to free Kakashi-sensei and Sato on her own. Was left unsaid, but both Naruto and Sasuke knew how she felt deep down, especially when her face and voice gave her away. Not that both boys didn't agree with her, it was logical, especially when they were just genin. Guilty as she may be, she still thought better than to go headstrong, and she's not that type. That's more on Naruto type. Don't worry, Sakura-chan, we'll go and save Kakashi-sensei, the ever good nature he was. Naruto tried comforting Sakura with a hand on her shoulder. And don't worry about Sato, we've managed to let him and the others escape, Sasuke added, crossing his arms. These got Sakura's attention. Sato-san? Sasuke gave her a nod to confirm her. Sakura heaved a sigh, relieved that Sato was saved. We should get going, Sasuke spoke, motioning for everyone to set their goal back, which was saving their sensei again. Where to? The pinkette inquired, wondering where to find their sensei. We'll explain on the way. The Uchiha gesture for Naruto to lead again, although warning him to slow his pace as Sakura was still tired from her non-stop sprinting earlier. Kakashi's hands were handcuffed with chains that connected to the circle he was barely standing on. The outer circle he was at was surrounded by glowing, unreadable arrays of characters. He was inside a glass that had a tube connected to the top. His vest had long been discarded. His headband protector lay near his circle. His skin was covered all over by incoherent characters, his head down, fighting consciousness. He was on the center of a large room, or rather a large cave-like room, since the texture surrounding him were of that a cave. The only light providing in the room was the large blue round glass above where he was at. Tubes of every direction connected to it. His own was also included. With him were Hayato, who was squatting in front of Kakashi. Beside him was Shinobu, his right hand outward and his other was in Ram's sign, and last was Suda, who was holding his wakizashi that Team 7 had delivered to him. He was giving Kakashi a triumphant smirk. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura were currently peering way above. They managed to find a hole where the large tubes also passed and were silently observing the situation below. They've managed to locate Kakashi's location, which happened to be below where the mansion was located, a ground lower to the passages they went through. We found him, Sakura commented. She had long been informed of what happened to the boys on the way, including the part where Naruto is actually a censor, and was also taught about what Sasuke had learned from said blonde, although not as wide as Sasuke's. She too was promised to have her questions answered later after their situation is clear. And in a tight position too, Naruto grimed while Sasuke only grunt. Said Raven's Sharingan activate. You're also right when you mention that this is the main repository, he noted, moving his eyes from Kakashi to the large gathered chakra. Said chakra was too large and too bright for Sasuke's Sharingan that he returned his gaze to where Kakashi was, avoiding himself from blinding. Any idea what's those thing on Sensei's body? Sakura commented. Are they sealing arrays? Sasuke asked Naruto, who was currently in deep concentration. Yeah, it's similar to the once holding Medic-san but a bit more complex. The seal Sensei standing on is an advanced combination of chakra draining and Fuinjutsu trap, while the once spread on his body is a paralysis seal. Then he paused, one hand under his chin while the other supporting the elbow. I think there's chakra absorption seal with it, but I can't tell from this distance. He then crossed his arms, eyes closed and mouth twisted in thought. Unsealing it would be arduous, since the Fuinjutsu trap requires the blood of the caster, and with the chakra draining seal, it'll also take my chakra, thus hindering me more, and it'll also quicken Kakashi-sensei's depletion. But to be honest, the only thing that made it complex are the amounts of seals combined together. The seals themselves are just standards. Sakura and Sasuke could only watch in dumbfounded. Although Sasuke quickly recovered, the Raven closed his eyes, his brows knitted while he tried to massage the growing ache in his forehead. The things that came out from the blonde were insanely foreign from said blonde. Sasuke couldn't even believe that Naruto did say that. You can't blame him when the knucklehead, dead last classmate of yours happened to be a Fuinjutsu geek. If Sasuke hadn't any knowledge of the Uzumaki clan, he had long gone executed his fellow male genin for an imposter. Then again, there are other things that Sasuke had found out from the blonde. One was he was a, dare he admits it, very good, unconsciously for Naruto, psychiatrist. And second, a censor. The Raven knew there are still many things that Naruto's hiding, but Sasuke understands the slow progress. If it wasn't for Naruto clearing his mind, he might have demanded the blonde to spell it out, especially with all the young Uchiha's obsession for power. Although he admits that there's still the tingling feeling of desire, but his mind is currently occupied with questions about the massacre, and added the stress of deploying their plan and saving their Jounin sensei again. Yes, they already have a plan, and it's just a matter of how to set their sensei free from the one he was bound with. Snapping from his mental musing, Sasuke opened his eyes and turned to the blonde. You have a way to get him out? Yeah, I can bypass them with my own, he casually replied. These finally snapped the still stunned pinkette. Your own seal? Huh? Yeah, Sakura could only gape like a fish out of the water. As much as Sakura was knowledgeable about the Uzumaki clan, she never expected him, Uzumaki Naruto, to be a master of the art. And Fuinjutsu is one of the two complicated and difficult to learn, the other being Junjutsu. Said Fuinjutsu requires patience, that took years to learn and memorization, and Naruto's not patient. He's more of the wild one, a person who never stays in one place for a long time. This was proven from their time in training with Kakashi and way back to when they were still in the academy. He could never sit still, and was always out doing pranks. Furthermore, Fuinjutsu also requires good handwriting. Come to think of it, Sakura hasn't seen Naruto's penmanship yet. As she said, Naruto was always out doing his pranks and was rarely even in the academy, and whenever he was there, he was either sleeping or lazing around like Naruto Shikamaru. And Sakura bet that even Sasuke-kun himself haven't seen the blonde's penmanship. Speaking of which, where are you going to find an ink and a sealing paper? Aren't you supposed to need those? The pinkette inquired. Sasuke bobbed his head in silent agreeing with Sakura. Naruto merely waved them off. I'm an Uzumaki. The only time we'll be using those materials are when we store things or storing elemental jutsu in our scroll, and they're mostly done for preparations and not on the field. Not really getting the point but choose to ignore, so the two turn on their serious mood along with Naruto, who noticed them. Good, Sasuke said, then turned to Sakura. Ready? The pinkette just nodded for confirmation, and then they both turned to Naruto's shadow clones, divided into many threes, and our henge Naruto grin. With a nod, Sasuke raised his left hand to commence their plan. A series of explosions suddenly were heard above the cave they were in. Suda, Shinobu and Hayato's heads were pointing above. Shinobu's brows knitted while Hayato scowled. Wasuda was stopped when the large metal double doors were pushed open by two guards. Sir, the two genin have escaped, one of them reported. What? Suda's voice echoed around, while the explosions still sounded off. Another guard came in panting. Sir, all the prisoners are gone. All the absorption devices are being destroyed as we speak. We don't know where or what were the costs. And another one. Suda shook with rage, snapping his head towards where Kakashi was. He marched his way to him and slammed a fist on the glass, not breaking it though. You and your little pests are getting in my nerves, he growled. Kakashi, with his available strength, raised his head to face him. I'm being a proud teacher right now, was his only reply, fueling Suda's anger. Hissing at Kakashi, Suda snapped around towards the two shinobi, who only nodded their head in a silent understanding. Shinobu moved his head to Hayato. Go with Suda-sama. I'll stay here in case they try and free their sensei. Hayato was about to protest, but one look from Shinobu shut his open mouth and grumbled out, leading Suda and the guards out of the room, while two other guards closed the large double doors before following Hayato. Once the doors were closed, Shinobu pulled out a piece of paper with a sealing array written on it from his open long sleeves before sticking the paper on the door, completely sealing them in. I am impressed. You managed to not only remove the suppression seals that I put on you but also unsealed the cells that I placed on the prisoners, Shinobu said, slowly turning to his back to find Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura, circling the tube where their sensei was, their backs facing him as the three were in a fighting stance, kunai each in their hands. What can we say? We are the copy ninjas. Adorable cute little genin, Sasuke said smugly, completely shocking every member of Team 7. WOA, if I know that one conversation we had back at the prison cells would remove the stick up your ass, I should have done so sooner, Naruto retorted, holding his grin from showing. Shut up, Dobe, and face forward. Team. Shinobu merely observed passively, his hands crossed hidden under his long sleeves it seems, so he said, turning to Sakura. One was smart enough to respond to immediate danger. Then to the Uchiha, whose eyes were blazing crimson, and another escaping and forming a distraction, he moved his eyes to the Raven's kunai, avoiding eye contact with the Sharingan. It is quite provoking in a way, to find sturdy children your age. The last time I saw one of your kinds are back when the Third Ninja War were still occurring. He moved his hands to his sides. I don't know if you're too confident with your skills, or desperate to save your sensei, that you choose to face me, a seal master. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's see how skilled you are in your sealing art. Uchiha Sasuke suddenly blanched. Wah, you talk too much. You didn't even acknowledge me. Naruto formed his favorite hand sign, the cross, and produced 4 copies of himself, and dashed forward. Idio Sasuke tried to stop him but was too late. Shinobu only hummed impressive. As expected of, he didn't finish when 2 of the clones throw kunai at his direction, which of course he easily dodged. The other 3 jump on him. Shinobu didn't even have to use his seals, as he grabbed one on one leg and threw them to the rest of the approaching clones, completely destroying them all. He then immediately turned around and grabbed one who was trying to remove the seal on the door that somehow passed him. Don't even think about it. Hayato would have loved dealing brats like you. He slammed him on the door when suddenly he poof away. A clone? Shinobu's eyes widened. He had thought that was the original trying to pass unnoticed while he was occupied with the clones. He was about to try and turn around to search for the real one when he felt a hand on his back before his body stilled. As I said, you talk too much, and for your information, you idiot, I was the one who had played with your no excuse of sealing, Naruto said, snarling at him before his head was suddenly smacked hard. Idiot! Why'd you suddenly attack him? Didn't we plan this? Scolded Sakura, repeatedly bashing Naruto's head. Said Blonde was covering his head and trying to pray himself from the ongoing coming of the painful hand of one pinkette. Sorry, Sakura-chan. He was finally a good distance away from Sakura, escaping her wrath. I can't help it. Besides, he was praising team. When I was the one doing the major work, he pouted while nursing his throbbing head. If you act straight, then he never thought of you otherwise, she threatened, making the blonde twitched out of fright. What is this? Shinobu said, trying to call out his chakra and break the obviously paralysis seal. He had long deducted that the blonde was the one who applied the seal, from the moment he had showed his back on him and from the loud complaints of said blonde. An Uzumaki paralysis seal, modified by yours truly, Naruto answered him. Shinobu's eyes widened at the information. Uzumaki. What do you mean modify? It not only paralyzed you, it also surpassed your chakra, and Naruto did a one-handed ram sign. I can also stop the flow of your blood in your veins, and to prove it, Shinobu was starting to feel his whole body numbed, and his heart slowed its pump, and before he knew it, he lost consciousness. Once Naruto made it sure that he was completely out, he released the ram, making the blood circulate again. That was brutal, Sakura commented on the side. Nah, you haven't seen the part where the blood forced their way out. That was brutal. Sakura just smacked the blonde upside the head. TSK, Kakashi-sensei's chakra is still being sucked out, Sasuke reminded. Naruto snapped and moved to where Kakashi was. A ceiling? Gasped Kakashi, his voice barely above whisper. He was losing strength. Naruto shrugged his shoulder. Hey, when you face a ceiling master, you gotta fight with another ceiling master. Kakashi only hummed in response as Naruto performed various kind of hand signs, different to what Sakura was familiar with and similar to what Sasuke had seen back when the blonde summoned out his Tanto. After completing the hand signs, Naruto slammed his palm on the ground and chakra ink moved out from his hand and towards the tube where Kakashi was. Chakra ink, Sakura murmured. Now she understands what Naruto had meant earlier about not needing the commonly used sealing materials. The idiot can manipulate ink on his own through the use of chakra. From what Sakura learned from the books she had read regarding sealing arts, those who can master ink manipulation on their own can take ages to learn them, and for Naruto to easily produce them is a sight to remember. Sasuke was observing Naruto doing his work, especially when the chakra ink emerged out towards where Kakashi was. There was some nagging feeling he felt when he stared at the arrays on the ground, but he can't seem to get the hold of it. When Naruto's arrays touched the seals on tube, they completely thickened, covering them and moving up to Kakashi's body. Once they were covered, there was a short shine before it quickly disappeared and Kakashi was free. Immediately, Sasuke caught him and Sakura moved to check on him. Naruto, on the other hand, was staring up on the large glass above, which was quickly disappearing. Well, what a waste of chakra, Sasuke commented, moving next to Naruto once he had placed Kakashi on the floor. Naruto knitted his eyebrows, making Sasuke uneasy. No, the chakras from here and the rest of the gathered ones are moving to one direction. Sasuke turned to him in question, one eyebrow raised. What do you mean? Something's not right at all, the blonde mumbled. Sensei's fine, just chakra exhaustion, Sakura reported from the side. The two male genin nodded their head. We should go now, Sasuke suggested, and Naruto's only response was a nod as both he and Sasuke moved to the side of Kakashi and sling his arms to their shoulders as they moved their way out. What if Neglected Naruto unlocks a bloodline in Wave? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.